welcome to the Islanders Never Say Die podcast. I'm your host, TJ, and with me again, as always, is our NHL analyst and expert, the grumpy old man. They say there's no shame in his game because he's always the same.
That's me, and hello, everyone out there in TV land.
Oh, what is that supposed to be?
I don't know. It's an old honeymoon. Hello, don't worry about it. Go. It's a honeymoon reference.
Fair enough.
Ralph and Morton they put all their money into doing a commercial to sell some handy kitchen helper for like a wife. They had multiple tasks that they could do, and it was hilarious. I highly suggest you watch that episode.
Oh, goodness.
Corey Apple. Go ahead.
Are you well, Grump? I mean, there's no beating around the bush here. Before we get into reading ads here for the game or for the podcast. Islanders have played 2 games since the last podcast. They beat the Boston Bruins there in overtime 4-3. And then today, a loss against the Pittsburgh Penguins. They kind of jumped on us relatively early. Islanders had good fight. You know, they clawed their way back into the game. Wound up losing 6-3 there end total. Grump, first off, initial reactions.
I'm going to look at today as a one-off. I thought we were terrible. Only a couple of players came out to play today. But it's been a pattern, honestly. We come out flat, we get down, and are we able to claw our way back? And today we weren't. I want to know why the team comes out so flat in the beginnings of every game. I don't understand it.
Well, it's funny you mention that, right? We did fight back actually on Thursday's game against the Bruins. We were down 2-0 in a similar scenario here like we were against the Penguins at the end of the first period. We were able to fight our way back into that game, wound up winning. Today, not so much. You ask about why they come out flat. It could be a multitude of different things, Grump. You know what I mean? The biggest thing I take away, I'm not worried about today's loss. I'm not. People are going to overreact because, you know, it looks like the Penguins, the first, 30, 35 minutes of the game, absolutely dominated us. I get it, but I'm not too worried with the result of today's game. I'm really not. The biggest issue or the biggest concern that I think has kind of continued to rear its head is the Islanders need to address the first line left wing spot. I mean, that's the biggest item here for us going forward. So, and again, like it's not something that's going to happen like overnight. It's not something that's going to be fixed unless a trade does happen to happen, Grump. So that's my biggest takeaway through this time period. I'm not worried about tonight's loss though either. Okay,
we'll touch on that because that's a lot to talk about. We'll talk about it after the advertisement, honestly, because I have my own thoughts on that subject, which will certainly be. Have much more wisdom and intelligence what you just spit out there.
Oh, well, the thing is, it's just one of those items that I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, we thought to ourselves, could we float the boat with Kiefer Bellows? I don't think anybody really thought that was going to be a likely option there. The biggest item is you can't.
Not with Barry's coach, you won't.
Well, not with anybody at coach. I mean, like we're running out, Leo Komarov out there in the first line. I mean, come on, let's be honest. Let's sit down and take like an honest assessment. That long term is not going to yield you success. But we're going to dive into it there. We got an ad to read here. That's fine. Basketball has officially entered the second half of the season. It's time for teams to prove whether they're contenders or pretenders. And DraftKings, the leader in one-day fantasy sports, is giving new players a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Get in on all the actions now and claim your free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes by using the code THPN during signup. Playing daily fantasy basketball is simple. Just pick your lineup, stay under the salary cap, and see how your team stacks up against the competition. Feel the sweat like never before. Every dunk, steal, assist means so much more with DraftKings daily fantasy lineup on the line. Grump, who do you think's poised to make a late half season push in basketball in the NBA?
Who cares? I don't.
I'm glad.
I'm going to be realistic with you. I don't even follow it. I know they had the NBA trade deadline. I saw some guys get traded. I'm like, do American players even play this game anymore?
I didn't even know the NBA trade deadline happened. I don't know. DraftKings wants us to talk about that. They say, talk about who you can expect to make a late half-season push here. I have no earthly idea, grumpy old man. But with DraftKings, payday comes every day for players. So what are you waiting for? Head to the app now and download DraftKings app now and use the code THPN during signup. This week, DraftKings is putting you in all the action with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. That's code THPN, and you can get a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes only at DraftKings.com. A minimum of a $5 deposit is required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details. Yeah,
I mean,
NBA is not a big deal.
I would say, if you're into the NBA or stuff like that, I think you could do just about anything on DraftKings. Elephant
DraftKings.
Yeah, DraftKings. Sorry, like elephant races in the Sudan. I mean, I think you can bet on everything with DraftKings. So, I mean, if you're into that and have some extra money, go out there, try to pick a team, any team. Who knows? Like I said, basketball is just not my gig. Certainly professional basketball. I used to be a professional basketball fan, but to me, it's unwatchable.
Do you want to know something odd about college basketball now that I've noticed? Is how many players have entered the transfer portal this year alone?
Excuse me, before you continue, if you ask me a question, if I want to know something odd, you should at least let me answer before just pontificating on it. So I will go, yes, I want to hear something odd. Go.
Okay, good, Grump. Do you have any idea how many young men have entered the transfer portal, Division I basketball players that have entered the transfer portal this season alone? It's something like over 130.
I guess they're unhappy with their playing time or their situation, or I think it's just part of the generation now, the immediate gratification generation that we seem to have. I'm not playing. I don't care that I'm not as good as Johnny College. I should still be playing because, hey, I was recruited by this guy and I'm supposed to be promised these things. Earn it, Sonny.
Well, the thing is, I think it's over 20 teams have had 3 or more players leave by entering the transfer portal, and it's not even over yet. I just thought that was a very odd number.
I will say, I think the fact that there's no fans in the stands have something to do with it. Like if you're going to a college, and let's say, most of these kids, I don't know who any of the players are. I don't want to make generalizations, but I'm going to do just that, of course. Perhaps, hey, I'm only planning on being in school a couple of years. And without fans in the stands, I don't fit in at this school. It's all about me playing the game and getting the rah-rah accolades from, the people in the stands. And maybe that has something to do with it too. I don't know. I don't even care, honestly.
I just thought that was odd. I like college basketball personally, and it's weird, right? Because a lot of times, that's one of the sports where players can leave pretty much at their will after one season. They can be gone. It's really tough to build the fan base around players that, if they're going to be 1 year, they'll be transferring in from another university, and they're doing that on a consistent basis. I just thought that was odd. I've been reading up there on it. Getting back to Islanders talk, though, Grump.
Okay. So what do you want? Do we want to talk about Thursday? Do we want to talk about today? You want to talk about things in general? I'm ready for anything you have to throw at me.
I want to first talk about Thursday's game. And over in general, I think we're both in consensus, and I think most Islander fans are consensus. It's not a big deal. In general, the Islanders are trending there in the right direction, but they do need to make short and small adjustments here.
Oh, I see we have a visitor on the podcast.
Yeah. Sorry about it.
Oh, let's see. Who do you got?
It's a little cat. Anyway, we're continuing on, Grump.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right. If we want to talk about just some observations from the Bruins game, again, we came out flat to start the game, right? Really, I'm disappointed that we're coming out flat, especially a Barry Trotz team, right? The thing, what he preaches, we're going to play 60 minutes end to end, hard, well, then you shouldn't have come out flat in periods. And it happens a lot. It's prevalent. It's noticeable. It's a trend at this point in time. And we certainly did that against Boston. But but here's the thing. We won the game, so I don't want to be too negative because, but whenever people make idiotic statements, I just have to call them on it. Butch made one. I'm sorry. He compared, and Nick Leddy has played well this year. Certainly a bounce back year for him. He freaking compared him to Bobby Orr. He made a comparison of Nick Leddy to Bobby Orr, and I'm like, what? You got to be kidding me! I'm sorry. Come on, man! You got to just know better than that. That's just dumb. Now, here's something I noticed. Everyone keeps on saying how Adam Pelech and Pulak have been so good, and Pelech in particular has been really good this year. I just don't see it. Okay, I mean, he's getting walked around. I'm just giving you observations from Thursday's game.
You say that people are saying that he's playing well. I mean, Butch even pointed out that he doesn't think Pelech's play over recent time period has been great. And again, he was trying to go ahead and expunge upon this, saying, well, it's because when you start to feel confident, you think you could do a little more than you can, and then you get yourself in a rut. I don't know. It was a whole bunch of mumbo jumbo. Being an ex-player, come on, don't make it so granular. It really isn't that much rocket science, to be quite frank. At least it never was with me. Some people, maybe it's more of a head game. Never was with me. But Butch was mentioning there that the play has been a little shaky at times there for Pelech so far, or later on in the season.
Yeah, and I've been saying it for a number of weeks. I've been saying that I just don't see it from him this year. And you know that. Anyone who's listened to the podcast knows the grumpy old man has noticed these things that happened before they happen. Butch, I'm sure, listens to the podcast. He finally said, hey, you know what? Maybe I should pay attention to what goes out on the air and ice. Oh my gosh, look, he is. He's getting walked around by Pasternak, and he can't even transition to skate from back to forward, and he falls down. I mean, a nice play by somebody to cover. I don't know who that. By Pulak to cover, which was a nice play to recover. But I just look at and who's saying it? The Islanders media cartel and the Islanders tabloid websites are saying how great that this particular defense team have been this year. And I just, like I said, I think they've taken a step down this year for the most part.
Well, the biggest person I think who's taken a step back this season is Scott freaking Mayfield. Oh my God. I know we talked about it a few podcasts ago where the play this year has not been where it was last season there when he was partnering up with Devon Taves. We've tried to think maybe it's because of his partner. We've been trying to give him any type of excuse in the book, but man, oh man, Scott Mayfield, oof.
Okay, as we said before, we realize how much Devon Taves contributed to Scott Mayfield's success. He's not the same player playing with Nick Leddy, and maybe Leddy is more important in making sure that he's protected in the expansion draft, so he's trying to put up big offensive numbers. And he's sacrificing his defensive responsibilities, which have never been great anyway. He's always needed a real solid defensive partner. When he had Yanni back there, he could be a little bit lax, but it's not been the case this year. I mean, Johnny was a better Boychuk, for people who are listening, was a better defensive defenseman than Scott Mayfield is. And I think that benefited Nick Leddy. That said, now come expansion draft time, I don't think you can protect Scott Mayfield. I think
and we talked about it going into this year. You wanted to do anything you could. I mean, Scott Mayfield was a guy who was a top 4 defenseman on the Islanders last season, and he's on a very, very manageable contract. You would want to protect Scott Mayfield. We were talking about it this offseason. Ideally, the way Scott Mayfield had played in the past, you want to protect him because he's on such a manageable deal. He's getting paid, less than $2 million a year to be a guy who, even if, Dobson and other players are going to step up, even be a top 6 defenseman, getting paid under $2 million a year with cap certainty, that's something that's beneficial for a team. But he's played so poorly this season, there's no way you can protect a guy like Scott Mayfield. I don't care how good the contract looks right now. You can't protect Scott Mayfield.
Well, we still got a ways to go in the season, but as his play right now it certainly hasn't dictated that he's the guy that we protect. And that's unfortunate because, to me, just like all the points you just made, a guy like that who's under 30, very, very manageable contract, knows what's expected, and when he's on his game is a solid defensive defenseman who fits well with the style that Barry Trotz plays.
Yeah, well, again, he's not a great skater. Speaking about the lack of skating, I mean, Pittsburgh tonight came out and they're skating well from start to finish. I mean, how many times did we see Mayfield as well as Andy Green get walked around out there on the ice? And again, it wasn't just them. I mean, the defense, the entire team was in shambles for the first 2.5 or for the first period and a half, maybe even you can argue the first 2 periods, for the majority of the first 2 periods. So, I'm not blaming specifically the defensive unit, but man, oh man, you saw the skating on display there for Pittsburgh, and they were just walking around Mayfield and Andy Green.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to get into the Pittsburgh game now, I wasn't finished with the Boston game.
No, I'm just talking. You can keep talking, Grump. You don't have to lay everything out on a point basis, man.
I like to lay everything on a point basis because that's how I have it written down on my sheet.
That's the only way you can keep up, Grump?
No, there is, but then you complain. I go, well, we're not talking about that now. We're going forward. We don't want to look behind. That's because all you youngsters want to do that recency bias. Well, I'm going to tell you what, Thursday's game counts too.
For certain it does.
We won. So I just wanted to bring a couple of things. I noticed my old pal Hickey. He resorted reversed to the old Hickey. You saw it again today in both games. Somehow he can't manage to stay on his feet. Always managed to be on his butt most of the time and have that weak net front presence. That's the Thomas Hickey that I've known and hated for many a year, and it has reared its ugly head. He had one good game. And today, I don't know what his time on ice was, but I know it wasn't great. I know his minutes were cut back today for certain.
Okay, I don't care what happened. The entire defensive unit as a whole was putrid today.
Yeah, but
I don't care if you're looking at Pellick and Pulak all the way down the list. I don't think, the defensive whole, I don't think we did well. I thought our structure was hideous, to say the least.
Right. I'm talking about
that's the reason we gave up five really even or 5 goals here before the empty netter at the end of the game.
Right, but like I'm saying, it started with the Boston game where his inadequacies started rearing their ugly head. I mean, I noticed Varlamov, who had not played the 2 previous games that Sorokin played, was playing way too deep in the net. I think that contributed to the first goal, maybe both of them, but he was way too deep in the net. And it's just something I noticed with him. I mean, luckily for us, Boston just fell asleep at the end of their power play, which led to the Pajot goal that made it 2-1 Boston's favor. And then I felt we had the momentum after that. I really did. And I'm going to give some kudos to my friend Croc Nelson, who hasn't played this well this year. I don't think, certainly not in 5-on-5. He got actually had some physical confrontation with Clifton from Boston in front of the net, which to me, that's something he very, very rarely does. And there was some nasty cross-checking going on from both guys. I was really stunned the referees didn't call penalties on that, but it was nice to see my boy Croc step up and get a little bit more physical there.
The refs in general over the last few games we've played have been pretty terrible in their own right, too. I mean, again, not the reason we lost today, but the officiating I think it was woeful as well in tonight's game against the Penguins. Man, oh, man. Oh,
yeah. And to give kudos to Letty in the Boston game, though, seriously, he created the game-winning goal. It's a weakie by Halak. He's got to make that save, but his rush and driving the net made that play. I mean, Halak's got to stop that, but there's Beauvillier on the spot again, pumping it in. Of course, after Wallstrom scored that goal to make it 3-2, Nelson kind of floats back, which allows Bjork to skate right into the slot and get that wide open pass for a goal. That goal's on Brock Nelson. But we won, and that's the most important thing. And Josh Bailey scored a goal.
Yes, he did.
Woo-hoo! What's the song? Hey, Josh Bailey, whatever.
No. It's Hey, Josh Bailey. I want to know, can you score a goal? It's just like what the hell is the original song? I can't remember. What is the original song to that?
It's Hey Baby. Oh, it was Josh Bailey for Baby. I don't know that. It's an older song. It's a good song. That's why I'm kind of sad that they use it for Josh Bailey. But it is a derisive song for him. It's not something positive.
Oh, but again, he's embraced it.
What else are they going to say about Josh Bailey? He played his 900th game tonight. What's his highlight? He was able to skate on the ice. That's his highlight for his career.
Stop. Yeah, he did play his 900. Again, congratulations. All joking aside, for any professional playing 900 games in the NHL, when you look at it, like at the end of the day, that's quite impressive. Even though you might not think the point production's there, maybe you think he's more of a third-line guy. I don't care. To be a professional and play 900 games in your respective sport, that's impressive. Again, like you're just talking about the overall success of the individual. He's been a successful professional. Maybe he never lived up to the name of where he was drafted. Maybe you think he's not a top 6 guy. I'm talking about the games and a true professional he is. I mean, it's 900 games is impressive. That's all.
you can take the maybes off of all those things that you said. He definitely hasn't earned his draft status. He definitely is an above average NFL player. He definitely doesn't score enough.
Okay.
And like I said, his biggest achievement is that he's able to get on the ice every other night. That's his biggest achievement. Thank you. Good job, Josh. I love you.
Oh, goodness gracious. All right. Are you done with the Boston game? You done with the Boston game? You done analyzing the Boston game here, Grump?
Well, see, that's what I mean. See, you just want to do a blow-by on the Boston game. That's why I like to get it up right up front, because then you hop into something else. You never give me a chance. It's just the way you are. You want everyone to be your way. Well, guess what? I'm part of this show too, Sunshine. So
you're going to give me an aneurysm, Grump. You're going to give me an aneurysm. Keep moving. Keep moving along.
Well, see, there you go. I just know I look better on this podcast than you do.
Well, I'm good to hear that, Grump.
Go ahead. Now go ahead. I'm done with the Boston game, and we can move forward.
It was a good job of fighting and clawing back in the game where, at the beginning we did come out flat. You mentioned the point that, hey, we're consistently coming out flat. I think that's a valid point. I think that, ideally that's not something that's going to bode well long term. You kind of have to course direct from that. When you come out flat, it could be a multitude of different issues. It could be it's not really the coach. When the team's consistently coming out flat, I know it's not the coach's fault. If the coach had lost the locker room, sure, I understand that. That's just a player thing.
When the whole team comes out flat, that's a coach. Maybe he's telling them to take it easy the first period. You guys, you're older. Take a period off every game. Maybe that's what he's saying. I know you're not going to make it to the end of the season because Lou has decided not to get us any younger players on this team. And if they are younger and they show something, we're going to bench you for the most part. But no, take a period off, fellas. You need the rest. I mean, seriously, teams that really press us give us a multitude of problems. And that's what Pittsburgh did tonight. They pressed and they pressed and they pressed, and we were not fast enough or energized enough to keep up with them. A few players were, but for the most part, it was just a dead effort by us. And somebody has to be held accountable. You want to hold the whole team accountable? No, I hold the coach accountable. Sorry.
Well, there's one-off. How about holding anybody accountable for a night's game? It's a one-off.
So if it happens on Monday, then what are you going to say?
If you get blown out again on Monday, that's when it's like, all right, coach, time to do something again. Again, it's a one-off game. Stuff like that happens.
Okay.
If you're doing that on a consistent night in, night out basis, sure, that might be an issue. Speaking about that, around the league, man, oh man, Buffalo, I had no idea how miserable. Now, is it true that they've gone winless? What is it now, 16 or 17 games now?
A lot. I don't know exactly how many, but they're really bad. They're really bad. The GM had to step in and coach because I guess whoever their new head coach is now, I forget who it was, they had one COVID protocol. So Kevin Adams had to step behind the bench. And I guess it didn't do much better.
I think it's 15 losses in a row as of right now. Again, some of them being overtime, some of them being regulation, some of them being shootout. Man, oh man, 15 losses for the Buffalo Sabres. Yikes bad. Also, how long do you think Alain Vigneault's leash is there in Philadelphia?
They've been struggling mightily too. I don't know what they did tonight, but the whole thing is they're giving up boatloads of goals every game. And Carter Hart has not been good, but historically, defense.
They won today against the Rangers.
Okay.
2-1.
But the Rangers have been blowing them out. Scoring 7, 8, 9 goals and then 7 goals.
Just Thursday they beat them 8-3. And again, if you look at it over the span, I think it's out of the last 20 games, they've only held opponents to 3 or less goals in 4 different games.
What are the teams? What are the teams that give the Flyers problems? Teams that have skill up front give them problems because their back end is not very good, and they can get exposed with high skill teams. And that's what the Rangers have high skill. And they have youth, but they're not there. And Johnny Rah-Rah, he'll be gone at the end of this year. That's my prediction for him. I just don't think he's good enough.
Well, my thing is, how long do you realistically think that leash is for Alain Vigneault? You have to think that's got to feel like it's tightening a little bit. They definitely had expectations of being a playoff caliber team. And, the way they've been playing as of late, I just don't see it for the Flyers.
Well, today gets him off directly off the grill. The heat is still on. Maybe they just moved it to the warm, to the
back burner.
Yeah, to the back. There you go, to the back burner. Very good. Nice cooking term from TJ there. But they have these other things, just like the key, not even whatever, backward burner. We'll go with that. So
what are you talking about, Grump? What you doing, man?
These new stoves, like you have all these different things, and then there's one that's just like a little warmer thing. It's like not.
I guess I don't. You know what? Call me crazy. I've got the one that's got the four stove tops. 2 of the small ones, 2 of the big ones.
Oh well, I have another one in the back, which is just like to really just warm things. And like I said, the pressure is still on him, but not certainly when he's on the big burner. I will say that.
Yeah, again, those are just things I'm wondering about here in our division specifically. Again, Islanders didn't come out necessarily with a whole bunch of energy tonight. Did fight back. Did like the effort that I saw out of them. I like the effort I saw out of them. Again, they never quit. This is a team that never quits.
Yeah, to me, Pittsburgh took their foot when they went up 5-0. They just took their foot off the gas. They just played not to lose after that. I mean, what did they have? How many shots in the third period? 1, 2. I mean, not many. They just eased it on home after it was 5-0. They dominated us. They outworked us. They out-physicaled us. They had more hustle. Here's the thing, Pittsburgh, and here's the thing, Pittsburgh's won, I think, 12 of their last 14 games now. And they had a bunch of guys out today, too. I don't know why we can't take advantage of teams that have a bunch of injuries. I mean, Malkin was out. They had like 6 or 7 guys out. And they're going to be a team to watch. If they could play any semblance of a defensive game, they're going to be a tough team to beat. Okay. And they seem like they're playing really well against us this year, too.
Well, that's the issue, though, right, Grump? I mean, Pittsburgh has their issues. And again, I don't like playing against Pittsburgh. I think they play us pretty close. I mean, if I'm thinking about the teams that have played us really close this season, Pittsburgh and the Washington Capitals are the 2 teams where I'm thinking, we're neck and neck there, always competing, for that little tiny, nose in front there to win, cross the finish line ahead. Those games have been close. We've pretty much handled Boston all season long. So again, I'm not as worried about that. Philadelphia, even though we lost our first 3 or 4 games against them, I think it was the first 3 games, I feel like we were still the better team throughout the majority of the time period. Pittsburgh and Washington, though, those 2 teams are, again, everything seems really close.
And it's funny, Pittsburgh's only 2 points behind us now. And we both have, I think, 21 or 22 games remaining. I don't want to play them, honestly. I'd much rather play Boston. I just don't like the way we match up against Pittsburgh or Washington right now. Right now, as of right now, that's all I'm saying.
And again, I think the biggest thing for us and the biggest thing for our team is addressing the left wing gaping hole we have on the first line. Again, we knew Andrews Lee going out was going to cause an issue, and it's caused an issue from the composure there and the semblance of the first line as well to the power play unit. We're sticking Matt Martin on the power play line because he can get in front of the net and he can go ahead, I guess, and try to screen the goalie. But man, oh man, when Matt Martin's on your power play, you're in trouble. I mean, you have to address that. That can't be done long term. When you got Leo Komarov on the first line, again, that's not something that's built for long term sustainable success. That has to be addressed. I think that's the biggest point going forward. I think ideally we have the best third line in all of hockey. Beauvillier, Pajot, and Wahlstrom is the best third line in all of hockey. I don't even think it's a debate. They play well. They're gelling together. I wouldn't want to mess that line up. The biggest thing for us, though, is finding someone who could be the left wing there with, on that Matt Barzal line.
Yeah. Okay. I'm not going to rush to judgment and say we have the best third line of hockey with that. Here's the thing. I haven't watched enough teams to know. That line is extremely hot right now. I love how they're performing. I would not touch them. I'll just leave
What team do you think has a better third line? I mean, again, before tonight, Oliver Wahlstrom was with a 5-game goals or 5-game point streak. The third line between Oliver Wahlstrom, Jean-Gabriel Pajot, and Anthony Beauvillier has been outstanding.
Okay, they've been together how many games? 4 or 5?
Even before he was on that line, the line did well. I think, though, Anthony Beauvillier, as you said, is a quintessential third line scorer, third line streaky scorer and winger. I think he fills that role extremely well. Yeah,
I agree. I thought he was, between he and Barzal, they were the best 2 players for us tonight. I mean, Matt Barzal, nice to see him score. But again, everything's individual effort. Why? Because he's playing on a line 1 man short. And who do we blame for that? I mean, because you have to ask I just have questions for people. Why? Why don't we have someone else who can play on the first line instead of Leo Komarov? Why do we not have someone who can play on the second line but Michael Del Cole? Why does one injury derail this team to a guy who, and Anders Lee, as much as I call him average, he is, for our team, certainly a top six forward. But this is what I've said for quite a while. If we lose a top six guy, we are really going to struggle because we don't have any depth, and that's Lou Lamoriello's fault. For however much he wants to continue drafting and signing players who are grinders and third and fourth liners, eventually you're going to have to get someone with talent on this team to score goals. And we're seeing it right now. I have once again been proven correct. Grump predicted this.
Grump, I'm just gonna ask you this. How many, with the exception of, I'm talking about a handful of teams, you can count on one hand, how many teams continue to excel if they've lost their best left winger? How many teams continue to excel if they lost a guy who's a top six, a top line forward, a top line winger for them, and a guy who was playing extremely well this season, on pace to have over 25 goals in a shortened season? How many teams continue to excel when that happens? Anders Lee was having a great season before he went out and was injured. I know you call him average Anders, captain average, whatever you want to call him, Grump. But again, you lost him. You knew that was going to negatively affect the team. Realistically, though, when a team loses a top-line winger, how many of those teams could say, all right, we got a guy in Bridgeport who can come in and fill the same production load?
Okay, it's not – you want to know? Let me see. Let me count teams. 30. I'm going to say 30 teams.
Stop. Get the hell out of here.
Here's the difference. Malkin's out tonight. Did that hurt Pittsburgh? Nope. When we played Washington earlier in the year, they were out Ovechkin, Kuznetsov, Orlov. Did that hurt them? No. Because
we're talking one-game stretches. I'm talking about over a prolonged time period. It's not like this has just happened, Grump. Anders Lee has been out of the lineup for at least 6 games.
Okay.
Long-term, it doesn't bode well for success. It's not sustainable.
Okay. Well, Malkin has just missed 7 games in a row. So you can say the same thing, and they're rolling. You want to know why? Because they have organizational depth. They can plug pieces in, particularly at the higher levels of the organization. Or you have guys who are playing on lower lines who are better, who you can move up. That's what we do not have. We have no organizational depth whatsoever on the offensive side of the puck. We just don't. And we have talked about that for a long time, for years. They've known for 2 years that they didn't have enough offensive pop. That was right out of Lamoriello and Trotz's mouth 3 years ago or 2 years ago after their first year there. And have they done anything to improve the offense of this team? The answer is no.
Yes. Stop. No. We've talked about this before. Jean-Gabriel Pageau was an increase to the offensive pop of this team. We've talked about this.
He's a third liner, though. I'm talking about top 6 guys. No, we don't.
Again, the best third line in all of hockey. Okay? And he plays more than third-line minutes, and the role he plays is more than that of a third-line guy. You say, have they done it? Have they done something? Yes, they have. Have they done enough to your liking? The answer to that is no. It's a different question. Got to phrase it a little differently, Grump. You could definitely argue, have they done enough? You can argue that. Have they done something? For certain, they have. And again, like you've seen the guys step up. The biggest issue that we have, though, and again, you're trying not to detract it, right? My biggest point. How many guys, if they were to lose, besides Malkin with the Pittsburgh situation, and besides with Kucherov there in Tampa Bay, how many other teams continue to move along without skipping a beat once they lose a top-line winger? How many?
Colorado was able to do it when they were missing players early this year. The good teams are able to do that. If you want to be a good team, you're able to do that. You're able to overcome those obstacles because they have guys to fill in. We don't. It's virtually the same lineup that we've had here for 3 years. Virtually the same, with the exception of Wallstrom and JPG.
John Gabriel Pageau. My thing is, I told you, I can count them all on one hand. Okay, you have about 5 teams in the league. You have about 5 teams in the league that can lose a guy off their top line and not skip a beat. Again, We're not one of those teams right now. We're a team that has to have the consistent production from a solid forward lines. We're not a team that could be like, hey, just like Boston, right? Or, the excellence line or anything like that. We don't have a line like that, which is head over heels above all different lines on our team. That's just not the way we're structured. Do we have enough organizational depth to answer your question? No, we don't when it comes to forwards. I'm not denying that.
But that's what I mean. That's the Lamoriello effect.
No. It's not the Lamoriello effect. Injuries happen, and when injuries happen, you have to address them, right? Hold on. We were on the first year Barry Trotz is here. We were unbelievably healthy. Besides the Scott Mayfield injury, we had no injuries to main players that lasted more than 10 games at all through the regular season. We were an unbelievably healthy team. Last year we had some injuries. We lost Pellick. We had some injuries last season. This year we've had a few injuries as well. Again, like 2 years ago, unbelievably healthy. You can't expect to go an entire season with unbelievable health.
Okay. I'm going to say it again. Just like I've been saying for 3 years. If we lose one of our top 6 guys, well, not Bailey, but if we lose Matt Barzal I guess you could put Anders Lee in there, but if we miss a top 6 guy, we're done. Because we don't score enough. We are not productive enough where we can overcome that loss, and we don't have anyone to fill in. That's why if you're moving a Devon Taves, you pick up a guy who's a sniper, a goal scorer. No.
You've diverted the entire point in a comment that I made into your own little narrative. I don't give a shit. I'll be honest. I don't care too much about this, Grump. It is what it is. We're in the situation we're in. Okay. The biggest need I've noticed is we have to address the left wing spot. We have to go after someone in a trade. That's the overarching theme. That's the overarching need. There's no point to continue to piss and say, well, it's because Lou, we're in this situation. I get it. We understand. Right? So we don't have the organizational depth. There are very few teams that have the ability when a top line guy goes out to say, we can go ahead and replace him without skipping a beat. I said you can count them on one hand.
Okay. Here's the thing. I'm going to ask you a question.
Go ahead.
You say we need a player at the deadline. What would you be willing to trade for a winger at the trade deadline?
I think we have to go rental. I really do. I would be willing to give up a first-round pick and a prospect.
Absolutely. See, that's where you lose me because this team is old. We are an old, slow team. We cannot be giving away first-round draft picks for 1 year where we're going to get knocked out in the first or second round. I'm sorry. I'm willing to take my lumps now and build a team for the future because we are not going to win with this lineup. I'm sorry, we're not.
I'm going to go ahead and back this up. Back to the point. How do you think the Washington Capitals would do if they lost Alexander Ovechkin for the entire season? Would they just be able to slide somebody right up in his spot to fill that role?
I bet that they would still be a top 6 team in the league. Because they have so much.
They're not a top 6 team in the league right now. What are you talking about?
What are you talking about? They're not.
They're not a top 6 team in the league right now.
Well, I think they'd be
standings. They're not. If you pull up this, okay. If we're pulling up the standings here, they're technically okay. They're right above. Are they in first place? Okay, technically they're in first place. They do because they have more games in hands over us. Right. Give me a sec here. I'm pulling it up. 48 points, 50.
This is the typical TJ move.
Okay, no, they're 13. They're third in the league right now.
Okay, so they're a top 6. So they'd still be a top.
You still think they'd be a top 6 team?
Absolutely.
If Alexander Ovechkin out for the entire season, you think they'd be a top 6 team in the league?
Yes, I do because they have enough. They have enough talent on the rest of their roster to fill in. Absolutely, and they have a really good coach. I mean, those are two things that are. I mean, you have to have a good coach, but talent is more important, and they have that to fill in. They have their guys who can step up and play. We don't. When we have to put Leo Komarov on the first line or we have to put Matt Martin on our first power play unit, that tells me that we don't have enough talent on this team. When you're taking guys who are one guy, a borderline NHLer at best, is on your first line, and then you have another guy, the $6 million man, who is not even a good grinder anymore on your fourth line, 32 years old. These guys are playing on your top line and your top power play unit. That means you don't have enough organizational depth, period.
I'm not doubting that we don't have enough organizational depth at the forward position. Okay? I get it. I'm saying we have to address the hole we have at left wing. Right? We can agree on that, right, Grump? Hopefully all Islander fans can agree. Right now, continuing to roll out Leo Komarov on the first line is not the answer. That's not sustainable. We can't do that and expect continually good results. I don't think, at least. I don't think anybody out there can say, hey, Barry, just roll out Leo Komarov on the first line for the rest of the season. Everything should turn out fine. I don't think anybody's saying or supporting that, right?
No, but I'm not. Well, I'm not giving up a first-round draft pick for that. We're an old team. We cannot be trading away first-round draft picks willy-nilly. We can't do it.
We're a team. We're a team.
Not for a rental.
We're a team that is old, but I think we could have a smooth. We're going to have a time period. We're going to have a transition. There's no doubt about it, right? When you look at the contracts that we have, Anders Lee's a contract. He's no spring chicken. Brock Nelson's no spring chicken. Jordan Epperle's no spring chicken. Again, there's a lot of guys who aren't spring chickens anymore on this team. You have a lot of those young cornerstones that you could build around there in the future. There's going to be a reshaping or a re-imaging of the Islanders and a face there of the Islanders. I get that. But as of right now, you should still try to go ahead and win. Here's my question. What would you do in this situation, Grump, then?
What I would do? You know what? Yeah. We're just going to ride it out. I'm going to play the young guys. Here's the thing. We're not winning this year. We're not. It drives me insane when people think we actually have a legit chance to win the cup. We do not. Okay, last year, you're going to find out in the history of the Islanders under Barry Trotz and this particular team with these older veterans, last year was the high watermark for us, getting to the Eastern Conference Finals against Tampa Bay and getting beat by them. That'll be the high watermark. When you look at it 10 years from now, that's what you're going to see, okay? So I'm not willing to draft. To me, we have way too many older guys on long-term deals. And
you talk about the first, not willing to give up a first-round pick. Where do you think our first-round pick's going to be?
For a rental.
Where do you think our first-round pick's going to be? 25 or later?
No, I think it'll be worse than that.
Okay, so you think we're going to have a whole bunch of losses here at the end of the season?
Well, the toughest part of our schedule is coming up now. The easy part's over.
Here's my point.
We're going to make
you think we're going to just barely scratch our way into the playoffs?
I think we'll probably come in third in our division. I think Pittsburgh's playing really, really well right now. And remember, they have to play all the weak teams. They play the tough teams already. We have to play all the tough teams now. Schedule is really important.
So you think if we added a legitimate top line left wing, that we would finish only third in the division?
Who's a top line left wing that you're talking about?
Again, take your pick. Take your pick. There's a whole bunch of guys I think that could fit onto a top six left wing option there for us. Anybody out there on the ice would be an improvement over Leo Komarov.
Okay, but that doesn't make them a top line left wing. Just because here's the thing, I'm better than Leo Komarov, but that doesn't improve our chances. We might even come in fourth then if I was on the team.
Stop. Oh my goodness. If you were to trade a first round pick there for a top six left winger, you're gonna be a team that's gonna win more games once you make that adjustment. That's the point of the adjustment. So you're gonna ideally finish, with a better record, which is gonna drop the draft pick lower for the team that gives you that asset, right?
The whole thing is you can keep chasing it, but at some point in time, this is an older roster that's predicated on system, not talent. Until you get away from that, here's the thing. I would never trade a first-round pick for a rental. Not for a rental, I wouldn't. If you want to say that it's somebody who's younger and has some term, yes, I'm willing to do that. But somebody who's going to contribute for a few years, yes, I would do that. But not for a rental. No way would I do that. For a guy who's going to be Kyle Palmieri. All right.
Okay, Kyle Palmieri wouldn't. Maybe you're looking at a first round pick and then a little bit. That's honestly what you're looking at if you were to trade for a guy like Kyle Palmieri.
Then I wouldn't do it. Like I said, I'm not trading a first round pick for a rental. Just not happening.
Teams that compete around the Stanley Cup and teams that make a Stanley Cup push give up first round picks. That's just how it happens. If you want to compete for the Stanley Cup and you want to compete for the Stanley Cup Finals, you have to be willing to part away with a little bit of draft capital. I'm a big fan of not giving up your economic position, right? That's what I do for a living. But in the same token, everybody else does it. You have to do what you can to make that extra push.
No, for me, I'm not trading. Here's the thing. You want a team to be solid for years and years, you got to be good through the draft. If you keep on trading away first and second,
you do have to be good through the draft. I do agree. You have to be good through the draft. I'm not disagreeing with that.
But if you keep on trading around, the best players are in the first round, right? First, second round, those are the best players. You can't expect guys who you draft from third rounds, 3, 4, and 5, and 6, and 7 to be solid contributors.
All these teams that are extremely talented. Look at Tampa, right? They didn't find Kucherov in the first round. They didn't find Braden Point in the first round. Like that's
look
my
at the guys they did find in the first round.
Hold on, stop. You have to be able to identify some of those guys that are later round picks that are going to be really successful. That's what elevates those teams to the next level. You have to be good through the draft. I don't disagree. Majority of the good players do come in the first round of the draft, right?
But here's the thing.
You have to make sure you execute and you pick the right guy.
Yeah, but here's the whole thing is if you keep on getting rid of first round picks, guess what that means? It means you're not going to get the better players. You might get lucky down there, but most of those later picks don't work out. That's just the way it is in any league, right? The round of the players who succeed the most are the first round picks. You keep on trading those picks around, you're just kicking the can down the road is all you're doing. And it's not like we're having any free agents come in who are going to say, I want to play for the Islanders because they play a defensive system. No, we're not going to get the high-end offensive talent that way. I'm sorry. Panarin said, screw you. You're offering me more money. I'm still not going to you.
Okay, terrific. Panarin didn't come here. Again, I thought Panarin would have been excellent there as a left winger. We wouldn't have had Anders Lee if we had Panarin. That is for certain.
Well, there's a win-win right there. That's win-win.
Oh, goodness gracious. But we need to do something to address the need for a top 6 left winger. We do. I mean, you can't just go ahead and say, all right, we're just going to roll out Leo Komarov out there. However you decide to skin the cat, whether you want a guy with term, whether you want a guy who's got, a rental, it doesn't matter. The overarching point is we need to do something to address the need for a top 6 left winger. Ideally, you don't want to have to move Beauvillier off the third line. He seems to be gelling well with that line. He seems to be working well. I know they were kind of jumbling lines up there, and sure, he did score that goal with Matt Barzal on the line there when he went ahead and drove the net. Beauvillier was able to sweep things up here in today's game. Ideally, though, Beauvillier, Pajot, and Wahlstrom is the best third line in all of hockey. Again, if you don't believe it yet, maybe you don't. I really do honestly think the more time, and as you see them continue to perform, you will agree with me, Grump. They are the best third line in all of hockey.
Okay, they're the best line on our team right now, overall line. That's what I'm willing to say. I mean, like I said, I don't watch enough games or look at everybody else's third lines. I don't do that. I'll tell you, we have the worst second line in hockey. I can't tell you that. Okay.
With Leo Komarov on the first line, we have one of the worst first lines in all hockey.
Well,
okay,
we're playing with 2 guys on the first line. Like I said last podcast and the podcast before, you can't field. Everybody says, why isn't Matt Barzal producing? Because you only got 1 guy on the line with them, so you're playing 2 against the whole team the whole time. I mean, it's just frustrating. I mean, I just love they think Anders Lee is the reason why Matt Barzal is not producing. No, it's because there's no one else on that left-hand side. No one. Leo Komarov equals no one.
Gotcha. Well, do you have any more comments before we start getting to all the comments, Grump? Because I've neglected them here for the first 48 minutes. It's going to be fun reading through all the past comments. Do you have anything else you wanted to say to cap off there tonight's one-off game against the Pittsburgh Penguins? We didn't play all that great.
Yeah, just a couple little comments here.
You do it with that face, which makes me think it's not a couple little comments. I think
it is. They're just a couple. My pal Hickey today was responsible for the first goal. As it's a 2-on-1. That was a bad line change, by the way. The fourth line caught up ice. Casey falls down.
I think it was Matt Barzal who fell down.
It wasn't Barzal. It was Zizekas. And as they're skating down, but what's Hickey's job, right? He's got to take the pass, right? He's either got to stop the pass or he's got to, stop the shooter. What you commonly do is you take away the pass, you let the goalie take on the shooter. What did Hickey do? Neither, of course. So it was an easy goal. That was another Hickey special. And once again, Martin on the power play. What else can you say? If Kami is terrible on the penalty kill, which he was today, which led to a goal, too slow getting back, leads to a goal that effectively ended the game for us, why is he even playing, right? That's what you always hear. He's a great penalty kill guy. We can't even do that. Andy Green, my gosh, he looks, and I put down slow with 3 O's. So that's really slow, I guess.
Really? Is it really slow, bro?
Hey, rabbit. That's an old Bugs Bunny cartoon. I know we're going to people who know that.
Is that when he's on the Martian planet?
No, that's when he goes into Frankenstein's lab and some type of some type of ether or something. It says, "Oh, I'm going to catch you." It was great, really, really good. But that's how slow Andy Green is right now. And, for as good as Letty has played this year.
Not great tonight.
Huh?
It was not a good performance tonight.
No, he still makes some really dumb rookie mistakes. And I'm like, okay, I wanted to protect him early in the game. Now I don't want to protect him either. I only want to protect 2 defensemen. Let everybody else go. And then at the end, okay, we're down 5-3 on the power play, right? And there's Bailey with the puck. Once again, pleasuring himself with the puck. Won't shoot the damn thing, and they just back off, and he just won't shoot. We're down 2 goals. He's wide open, take a shot. He won't shoot. I'm yelling at the TV, shoot the effing puck, Bailey.
There's a reason why he's only got 1 power play goal in the last 125 or 26 some odd games. It's because he doesn't shoot the puck on the power play, Grump. But yeah, he did need to shoot. I mean, all the momentum was on our time at that time, around that time period. And we're going to have that 6-on-4. I really thought the Islanders might be able to notch another one to make it really, really close. I really did before they were able to get that. I don't remember who it was. I think it was Brandon Russ coming out of the box there and was able to go ahead and put that 6th goal there in on that empty net. But again, today was a one-off game as a whole.
Yeah, those games happen. But it's a trend that we come out flat every game. That's stress. That's distressing to me.
One thing I also want to mention before we get to the comments.
No,
people were trying. Okay,
you want to get those comments. All of a sudden now, I don't have anything else to say. Now you want to jump in. Okay, I got it.
You give us this long laundry list of the Grump report. I don't know. I'm just giving you a hard time. Anyway, the item I've noticed here is there are fans out there online trying to shit on Ilya Sorokin, telling us that, he's letting soft serve goals in. I'm like, what the hell are we watching out here? Sorokin's not letting the soft goals in. The first one, I mean, come on now. It was a one-time. There's no chance in hell he's going to stop that. Maybe you could say the second goal he should have stopped. I think it got, changed the direction a little bit. But people are trying to blame Ilya Sorokin at the beginning before he was pulled like, Sorokin needs to do better. He's giving up 4 goals on 9 shots. I'm like, sometimes there's not much you can do on the shots that are coming your way. I mean, like sometimes there's only so much you can do. I don't know. People are trying to blame him a little bit there for poor play today. I didn't think he played poor. I don't think he played spectacularly well or anything like that. But I definitely was not blaming him for letting in some weak goals. Quotation.
It was a total defensive breakdown. I mean, they had to yank him because you don't want to kill somebody's confidence. You don't want to Patrick Waugh him, leave him out there for 9 goals. And then have him say he's never wanted to play for the Islanders game. Then he gets traded somewhere, and he has a Hall of Fame career. So no.
Well, yesterday was the anniversary of that big, huge brawl between the Detroit Red Wings and the Colorado Avalanche.
Yeah, I remember that game. I remember seeing it.
Man, oh man. I was watching like the highlights of that and kind of like the setup to it. I was just thinking myself,
Hockey was great back then.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, like, when's the last time I can think that I've seen like an all-out brawl amongst the teams is the Islanders against the Penguins.
Yeah, there's not too many of those anymore.
Didn't turn out too well for the
Islanders. Go on YouTube. You could see brawls. I mean, I just watched one the other day, the Islanders in Boston, circa 1980 something. It was like 7, 8, 9, 10 minutes. It was great. Great. Fantastic. I loved it.
We're getting to some of the comments here. Paul D wants to know, can you core an apple, grumpy old man?
Oh, can I core an apple? Zip, zip.
Okay, I got it. I was like, what the hell is he asking? Can you core an apple? That's a Honeymooners reference.
I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And he says, he goes, zip, zip, I am done. And Ralph goes, his eyes are wide open. It was hilarious. Spectacular. But, I mean, that was comedy back then, right? I mean, nobody had to curse. It was just guys doing stuff because they were natural comedians and just facial expressions and delivery. Fantastic stuff.
Jerry Springer. Jerry over here saying today's podcast is sponsored by Bosley's Hair Restoration. Bosley, the thing is more expensive. Okay. I gotta get on.
It's Bosley, not Bosley.
Bosley. Sorry. I guess that's my problem, right? I guess if Rogain's got to be the more cheap one, right? It's got to be sponsored by Rogaine, not Bosley first.
Why don't you just get a wig or a hat? Skull cap.
Oh, goodness gracious. David C. saying another secondary assist, Grump. Bailey, another secondary assist, earning his nickname.
That's right. The last goal of the game, he makes a pass to Nelson, because, he's hanging around. He's perimeter Pete hanging around the sideboards there, and he makes a pass down to Nelson, who makes a nice pass to Everly, who I thought was going to hold on to the puck too long. But the goalie, Jarry, was a little bit off the post, and he was able to snap it home. And
Yari Grump.
Jarry, whatever. I'm going to call him whatever I want. And then, but honestly, seriously, 40 seconds later, Everly has another shot and hits the post, where that could have made the game really interesting. Unfortunately,
that was my thing. I thought really all the momentum was on our way. I was like, are we about to witness some excellent play by the Islanders and some sort of, I mean, like I can remember the game against the Detroit Red Wings when Doug Weight was coach. We were down, what was it, 5 goals against the Red Wings, and I think it was Bertuzzi's kid takes that hack on Cal Clutterbuck's ankle, or not his ankle, on his quad, and Cal Clutterbuck goes down like he's been shot. Again, he's selling it. Of course, Clutterbuck's selling it a little bit, and it ends up in a 4-minute double minor. We get 2 goals over that time period. We catapult ourselves back into the game, and we win the game. I was like, holy crap. I remember that game. If we would have won, this would definitely have been a game that I remember for a long time too. I really thought we had all the momentum, and I'm like, maybe we have something special going on here. We just fell a little short though. Sal P is saying, good evening, TJ and Grump. Well, at least it was before this game. Oh goodness. It's just a one-off. I'm not too worried about it. Go ahead, Grump.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I mean,
gotcha. Frank K is saying here, Mayfield needs to sit. He looks like Brian Strait out there. Oof.
Wow. That's wow.
He's
not been good. He's not been good.
And I try to give Mayfield a long leash. Again, like I like him just because he's on a very, very manageable contract. But what we've seen this season hasn't been great. And tonight was another game where I was like, yikes.
Here's another example with the grumpy old man. Call it like he sees it, because everyone who listens to this podcast for any length of time knows I love Scott Mayfield, but he has not been good for the majority this year. He just hasn't.
No, he hasn't. And again, how many of these dumb penalties, talk about, benching players for dumb penalties. How many of these dumb cross-checking penalties are we going to see him commit? Because he's unwilling to move his feet. Again, because he gets himself in a situation where he's not on his man because he's behind, and he comes in with a little bit of speed and gusto as the guy has the puck, and he gets him with that two-handed cross-check right in the small part of the back, and the guy collapses. And I'm like, come on, man. How many more cross-checking penalties are you going to take? Given, maybe you could have said the Penguins sold it a little bit there, but still, come on now. He almost took another cross-checking penalty later on that game, too, where he had the same exact situation.
Yeah. If it was Matt Barzal, does he get benched? I'm going to say probably yes.
Oh, stop.
There's certain guys he benches and certain guys he doesn't.
Matthew S is saying here, I like the effort. It happens. We'll get him on Monday. No more Leo on the first line, please. Yes, yes, yes.
Well, all I'm going to say is I'll be interested to see if he changes up lines, because we lose a game or two and Bellows gets banished to the bench. And let's see. He's had Leo out there. Oh, well, we got to ride the same line. We have to ride the same lines because we're winning. And Leo is, such a presence. No, he's horrible. We need to find somebody else who can play there. I mean, it's not Leo Conrad. Why not throw Ross Johnston in there? Put him on the first line, stand in front of the net. Why not? What the heck? What do you have to lose?
Here's my thing. The Ross Johnston experiment has been such a freaking waste for the Islanders. I liked Ross. I thought when he was there for the Doug Weight time period, he was one of the few guys who had heart. He has a little bit of offensive acumen and touch around the puck too, which you don't really expect from a big guy. That being said, he's been a healthy scratch for the majority of his time here. Again, he's not taking up a substantial amount of cap, but still like $1 million a year for a guy who plays, 10, 15 games a year?
I don't know. You got Matt Martin making $1.5 a year, the $6 million man. You got Leo Komarov.
At least Matt Martin plays. At least they're utilizing Matt Martin. We just have Ross Johnson sitting on the pine as a healthy scratch.
What I'm saying is Ross Johnson is just as good as Matt Martin and just as good, if not better, than Leo Komarov, who makes $3 million a year. That's my point. Next.
Gotcha. Got a comment here from David Giuseppe saying, Stonehands Uncle Leo does not belong on the first line, not even in the lineup. Always seems to be 2 or 3 players on Barzal every time he touches the puck. John Tavares sequel number 2 without a goal-scoring winger. I think Jordan Eberle has done well. He's starting to heat back up a little bit, which is good. But I mean, they're playing a man down with Leo, and I think that's the biggest thing we have to do. We have to address the need for a top 6 forward, left wing.
everyone's starting to get on board the Grump train because I mentioned that 3 games ago. I'm just saying, you'll read the scandal sheets, the Islanders scandal sheets, and everything. Oh, everything. The same thing with the Staple was saying it too. Oh, Leo, he brings stability. Yeah, no, I'm sorry, he's not the answer. To even think he was just a mistake.
Well, okay, I'll be honest with you.
And one other thing before I let you go, it's David DiGesu, not DiGiuseppe. Okay, there's no P's in there. It's GESU. There's no P's. It's not Giuseppe. Okay, it's not. No matter how much you want to make it sound like it is, it's not. You name butcher you.
I am a name butcher. Thanks for calling me on that.
David DiGiuseppe. No, sorry, David.
If I don't have a chance to practice somebody's name, I'm going to butcher it.
There's no P's in there. There are no P's in that letter. Giuseppe. It's GESU. I'm sorry.
I do apologize. I'm sure David down there is thanking grumpy old man because I'm sure I think I've actually butchered that name. That I'll just call him David D. There's a reason why I try to keep it as simple as possible. First name and first letter of the last name because I don't want to screw it up, Grump, like I did right here. Apologies, David. That being said, though, Grump.
Wait, one more second. Can you pronounce your own name without messing it up? That's what I want to know.
I can't pronounce my own name. It's just been with many, many years of practice. I struggled when I was younger, but now I've got it. I only mess it up like one time out of every 10.
I think it's probably because your parents named you TJ since you only had to remember a couple of letters.
Well, that was the big portion of it. They knew it was going to be tough for me to go ahead and remember those type of names. That being said, though, there are going to be people trying to attribute, the only reason you're saying that Leo doesn't belong here in the lineup or on the first line is just because we went ahead and lost tonight in a bad fashion. No. Like the people who have come out there trying to say, Leo Komarov is great, he's good to be on the first line. Oh, my gosh.
He sucks. That's why we say it. And here's the thing. Even if we win, I say get that piece of garbage out of the lineup because he sucks. He hurts us. He doesn't help us. We win in spite of those guys. But David is 100% correct saying, the 2 or 3 players on Barzal, every time he touches the puck, that's what I've said all year long. That was what Boston started earlier in the year. So what's happened? Because he was hot as a firecracker to start season. Then they're like, okay. Boston puts 2 or 3 guys on him, devoted to him. Nobody else on that team is worth a bag of nickels. And we've seen that. It's hurt him scoring because nobody does anything else on that line. And then you got Leo playing in the defensive zone when they're in the attacking zone. I mean, and it's just like John Tavares. He's 100% correct. But I will say John Tavares had the ability to make the players around him better than Matt Barzal does. That's one thing. He's not as individually talented as Barzal, but he was able to make other players better. I think his vision was better than Matt Barzal's.
Really? Okay, fair enough. That's something we might have to expunge upon at another time period here.
Expound, not expunge. Expound upon, not expunge.
Expound upon. Sorry there, Grump. You just keep going and going and going. Matthew S. is saying, and Mayfield needs to sit for a few games. Yeah, I definitely agree there with that. Sal S. saying, we always seem to lay an egg when we play a team that's missing a bunch of regulars in lineups. This was done, Grump. I want to say this is when we first started the podcast about an hour ago. This comment was laid down. It's funny that you also mentioned that here, during a little monologue, midway through the podcast, dear Grump.
Yeah, well, it's the truth, right? You figure that's the time you can take advantage of those teams, but we don't seem to do that.
Oh gosh. Oh my goodness. Oh, he's also saying, who cares about the NBA? Honestly, Lou doesn't belong in the NHL anymore. And Joe Fitzpatrick saying Uncle Leo needs to take to the transfer portal.
Absolutely. Now, I hate to tell everyone this. Usually TJ doesn't let me look at the comments, but I figured out how I can do it. And I see one that he just did a blow-by on, which 900 games, Josh.
No. I was gonna get. I jump around a little bit.
Oh, okay.
I get it. I'll get them all. Vinny Smith. Vinny always gives me the update on what's going on with the Josh, and I love it. He gives me the update on what the Josh Bailey report is. The game is. I always get a good chuckle at it. He says, Vinny Smith says, 900 games. Josh, the way he plays, doesn't skate, shoot, score, or check, can play another 900 games.
I mean, I'm gonna give Josh credit with his playing style. There is absolutely no wear and tear on his body at all. He'll probably play another 1,500 games. It's just like a skate in the park. It's like a Saturday afternoon skate. Open skate, everybody.
So you want to know something funny that I noticed tonight for dinner, Grump? I went out to get Chick-fil-A. Have you ever had Chick-fil-A?
Yes, I have.
Chick-fil-A, and again, like it's not all over I don't think it's all over the United States just quite yet. I know it originally started off as something in the Southeast. I know it's made its way, I think, up into the Northeast as well. Chick-fil-A is amazing. Love some Chick-fil-A chicken. Really so good. I got some Chick-fil-A, and we were driving by. Now, where I am, I'm in Central America, and or I'm not in Central America. I'm in the central portion there, the central time zone of the United States is a more accurate way to say it. So when I was driving to Chick-fil-A, you go across like some Chili's, some Dave & Buster's, a team that is in the area, a college team they were playing in a Sweet 16 here today. And it was funny to see. Again, I've never been a big guy where I want to go out to see the game. Unless it's like a huge event, I usually want to stay at home. I want to watch it. And a Sweet 16 matchup isn't a crazy one. I'm talking about lines outside the doors at Chili's, Dave & Buster's, unbelievable amount of people there ready to see this hometown team play in the game. I'm just thinking to myself, I'm like, man, oh man, for a Sweet 16 finish, I don't know. I've never been a big guy who wants to go out there and watch the game out in public unless it's a huge event. And I'm like, the Sweet 16, is that not what classifies as like a big event?
Okay, I'm going to speak for everyone who's listening to the podcast. Leave me to tell the stories. Move on to the next comment. It was ridiculous. It was just a waste of – I'm not going to get that 30, 45 seconds back in my life. I'm going to tell you right now. There was no point to that story. I don't even know where you were going, and it went nowhere. There was no payoff. I'll have to teach you how to tell stories because that's not it. Who is Michelle Pasquarelli? That's what I want to know. Who's Michelle Pasquarelli?
I don't know.
She says, hey, TJ. I mean, she didn't say, hey, grumpy old man. I'm like, hey, what's going on?
Okay, get off the comments. I need you to focus on responding. That's your job. I handle the comments. Don't you worry about that.
Make sure you pop up Michelle's because I want to talk to her personally.
Okay, don't worry. We'll get to it. We'll get to it, Grump.
Okay.
Brian P. there is saying, I'm at the bar. I need a drink after tonight's game. Oh, goodness gracious.
Well, you know what, Brian? I don't blame you. But that's all right. I mean, here's the thing. If we lay another egg on Monday, then I'd start getting a little concerned. Like I said, I'm just treating today as a one-off.
Mm-hmm. Frank K is saying Brendan Witt had a more accurate shot than Pulak does now. Pulak can't hit the netting out of play. I don't see this team beating Pittsburgh or Capitals in a playoff series.
Man, Frank, how long has Frank been growing that hair? I mean, geez, it is so long and luxurious. You gotta love it. I don't honestly, but he's 100% right. I mean, Pittsburgh is a team I think we can beat. Right now, this seems like they're rounding into form. Sullivan has them rolling on all cylinders. Things can change. The Capitals is going to be tough for us. I think they're probably the favorite to come out of the East at this point in time.
Do you think Ryan Pulak will have a goal before this regular season ends?
No.
Really? I asked you that a week or two ago. You said, yeah, I'm still hopeful he's going to get a goal.
There was
I'm just not sure.
I mean, you think he would just get lucky and put one in, but I don't know.
Butch was talking about that today. The likelihood of you just even getting lucky, hitting off a skate, hitting off of someone's butt, hitting off of somebody's arm, and just bouncing into the net is a high probability, especially with all the shots that you take there from the defensive position. For the role that Ryan Pulak has, I'm just not sure he's going to score.
Well, like I said, we'll see. I hope so. I'm certainly rooting for him to score. I root for Josh Bailey to score.
Yeah, definitely grumpy old man. I'm still reading around here. Question for the cantankerous old man. If Bailey and Leo Komarov were both dangling off a cliff and you could only save one of them, would you even bother saving either of them, or would you let them both perish? Well, if you had to choose one to save, who would it be?
Okay, let me look at it this way. Where are we? Are we like on a desert island where there's limited resources? Is it somewhere where just me being nice, I could save someone? Because if we're on a desert island with limited resources, I'd let them both go. Because you never know how long you'll be on that island.
You just need to have as many people as possible, right? The more people you have working together prevents you from going crazy long term. You have more people to help you build your projects if you're on a desert island, though. I'd be honest, Grump, I'm looking at you. You're not lasting on a desert island.
Well, let me tell you something. I have a survival instinct. I'm just going to tell you that. And if it's me or somebody else, they're going. And certainly if it's Bailey and Komarov. But if it was between the two, it'd probably be Leo. He'd be the one I'd let fall because he's a communist. And, Josh. I can always count on Josh, to cook the dinner or whatever it is that he does.
Stop. I try to save both. Come on now, Grump. If they were both dangling off a cliff, I don't know. I guess I don't know. I'd save Josh. I don't know. They say Leo's
Let me
funny.
stop you again. Jerry didn't ask you the question. He asked me the question. He didn't say TJ and cantankerous grumpy old man. He said just me, not you.
Well, I'm going to give my answer anyway, Grump, because that's what I do. I don't know, right? Leo's supposed to be the funny guy, right? He could crack open the jokes and everything
He doesn't
like
even
that.
speak the language. He doesn't even he's from Russia.
He's from Estonia. Moving right along that. You want to go ahead and see Michelle? She says, hey, TJ. Yes, yeah, Michelle. I talked with Michelle and Bush there earlier on this week, and Bush was like, he was originally anticipating, I don't know what he was originally anticipating from the grumpy old man, but when we started, he's like, oh boy, haha, we go. Or here we go.
Here we go.
He was expecting Grump to bring something there. And then Brian B was also like, hello, all there. I don't know. Maybe he was expecting there's something crazy from you, Grump. Brian B said, all starters are back with Brady this year, Grump. Good news if you're a Buccaneers fan. Well, he's wearing his Buccaneers garb on the podcast. Ugh.
Well, I'm a logo guy, as everyone knows. I'm a logo, and I love the flag logo. I think it's cool. I think it's cool as hell. It is good news, but I think if you just stand still as a team, you're going backwards. For Tampa, I think they'll be better offensively. Their defensive backs are going to be better being younger. They were in a real favorable cap situation, not having too much dead money going forward, so they're able to do that. I don't know. I like Leonard Fournette better than Ronald Jones, to be honest with you, but they still need a pass catching back. That they need. A cheap veteran or maybe somebody in the draft because Jones and Fournette will be free agents after next year. So that's the way I would go. Sign in the Donovan.
Do you ever breathe when you talk? Do you ever breathe?
I
just started to notice. Do you ever breathe when you talk?
I'm able to do both. See, I know you can't even chew gum and walk and breathe at the same time. I know it's a struggle for you. Not for someone of my intelligence, all right? I'm just telling you that right now. Okay. Ndamukong Suh is a good signing, even though he's 34 years old. Why? Because the draft is really weak on defensive tackles this year, but they will need to fortify their edge positions. But I am happy with what Tampa has done. I just like to see him add a couple pieces for another Super Bowl chance at a Super Bowl run.
Yeah,
go, DJ. Thank you, Brian. I love Brian, man. He's great.
I don't like how you just keep talking without breathing. It's unsettling for me.
I'm able to talk and breathe at the same time.
It's like at the end, like it's like like you're a bagpipe at the time, and like they're playing, and like right at the end, it's like, and all the air comes out, and you're like, all right, next one. It's like I don't know how you do it. I just wish you'd just slow down a little bit there, Grump. But maybe people like that.
I'm afraid he's cutting me off.
Vinny Smith is saying, here's the issue with the power play. When Bailey is doing nothing on the wall, when the shot is wide of the net, he could not keep it in the zone. Not hard to figure out.
The thing that drives me the craziest is when you see him and Letty pleasuring themselves on their passes back and forth. That's the thing that just I'm like, come on, do something. Tick, 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 tick. Nothing. I swear, you see the penalty killers fall asleep out there when those two are just pet. They won't shoot the puck. I shoot the freaking puck, please. Please shoot the puck.
Frank K saying, I didn't see the Brendan Lemieux trade coming. I guess the Rags don't like Trumpster. I don't even know I don't even know how people know their political affiliation. I can barely keep up with enough of these guys in their personal life. I guess he's Donald Trump's. Who cares? How does he play on the ice? I don't even think any of that stuff matters. How do they play on the ice? I don't care what anybody's political affiliation is. How do they play on the ice?
I don't think any athlete, well, whatever. I could care less about politics. But I think anyone, not that I don't care, but I certainly don't want to trumpet it. And I don't think players and music and movie stars, they shouldn't do it either. You know what? No one is looking to you for a political analysis. They just want to see you play hockey, sing music, act in movies.
Yeah, well, I didn't see that trade coming either, especially to the Kings. I had to look at it too. I was looking at the Kings, and I'm like, I guess they think that Lemieux has long-term value there to them. I mean, the Kings have no shot at all of making the playoffs this year.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I mean, Butch made a good point saying he was surprised the Rangers made that move because he was one of the only guys on their team who had any sandpaper to them. And you need guys like that. You really do. And I don't know why they did it either. Maybe there was trouble in the locker room. You never know.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. Seems like there's a lot of trouble in the locker room. Tony D'Angelo earlier on this season, too. Maybe Johnny Rara, their college Quinn, is not doing a good enough job there. So who knows?
He'll be gone this year. I mean, Johnny Rah-Rah's got to go.
Yep, and then Matthew S is saying Lemieux is a clown. Anyway, Johnny P popped up the "Hey baby." I do appreciate it. If we played that song, we would immediately get a strike there. So we won't play it or anything like that. Frank K says Buffalo winless in 17 games. They are 0-15-2 over that time period. Man, oh man! If you're a Buffalo Sabres fan, where do you think your mindset is? Right? Because when they drafted Rasmus Dahlin, they thought, I guarantee you going into the season, they expected some sort of chance there, even if it was a long shot chance there to possibly squeak their way into a playoff position because you brought in Taylor Hall. Dahlin's a year older, new coach and everything like that, who finished the season in decent shape last year. What is your thought process if you're a Buffalo Sabres fan right now?
You have to be thinking about the draft, right? I mean, but here's the thing. I'm going to say one thing about their owner. He's the same guy who owns the Bills. He's trying. They're trying to add pieces to win games. It's not working right now. I don't think Adams is a new GM. I just think they're going to have a new coach at the end of the year. So at least they're trying. All right. It's not working, but they're trying. And isn't that what you want from an owner? Is somebody that tries? Or do you want somebody who just sits there and does nothing year after year? I'd rather have a guy who goes for it.
I would too. Again, I'm just thinking to myself, though, how demoralizing must it be for the fan base where ownership does make a move? General manager is taking a chance there. They are trying to assemble a team, and it comes up unbelievably short. That's more.
Snake eyes.
Yeah. I mean, man, oh man, Buffalo Sabre fans, I feel for you out there. But, in the same token, not really, because the Islanders were freaking hideous for years too. So I understand, I can empathize a little bit, but I don't feel very bad.
Okay, Ralph Kruger, who was the coach there, who was the coach when Adams came in as the GM. Usually a new GM comes in, the coach is gone. Kruger was in over his head, couldn't do the job. And, they had the COVID. And I just think they just haven't gelled. I just think it's just a write-off year for them. They do have a lot of young talent, but they might need to move some guys out to change up what's going on in the locker room too. They do need a better, an established veteran coach on that team, though.
Yeah. And then David C. saying if Lethargic Lou knew how to draft wisely, he would have listened to Grump and drafted one of the three amigos instead of the next Michael Del Cole Casper.
The worst thing, I don't think he's even going to I think he might be Josh Bailey.
I'd rather have a Josh Bailey than a Michael Del Cole.
No, I'm sick and tired of some weak guy who needs to hold on to the boards to skate, can't shoot. No. I don't like either one of them, honestly. But at least Michael Del Cole pretends like he hustles out there. Can you really say that about Josh?
I'm about to have an unbelievable record. You would rather take Michael Del Cole over Josh Bailey. Get out of here, Grump.
I'm sorry.
Michael Del Cole over Josh Bailey?
Yeah, Michael Del Cole doesn't make any money. Josh Bailey makes $5 million a year. Do you think he's five times the player of Michael Del Cole? I don't.
Oh, goodness gracious. We're moving right along there. Ross N is saying, old man always have a favorite burner on the stove. I assume you have to have a favorite burner on the stove then,
Absolutely. Bro. I could visualize it right now. Yeah. It's no matter what. I think it depends if you're left-handed or right-handed too.
Oh, goodness gracious. David C. saying, Grump, can you see Torts replacing College Quinn? His contract runs out, and this would be his return to MSG or MSG, their Madison Square Garden. It would bring discipline and toughness to those cupcakes.
Yeah, I don't know if they'd bring him back, though. But they do need a more – they can't have the college Johnny Rah-Rah approach. They're going to need somebody with a little bit firmer hand. I think a guy who would have been good is the guy who's done wonders for Florida Panthers, which is Joel Quenneville. I mean, he's turned that. It took him a little while, right, a year and a half, but that guy with an established track record, they were a team in freaking, even though they had talent, totally in disarray. And it took him a little while, but he's turned them around, and now they're a good team with really a nice core, not super young. They're starting to get up there a little bit, but still in their prime. And they moved some guys out who Quenneville didn't think were necessary to the team, and they've done wonderful things. I mean, good for them, honestly.
When you talk about Joe Quenneville, I mean, Joe Quivel's another one of those coaches that's a Hall of Fame, first ballot Hall of Fame coach. Unbelievable coach. You look at the dynasty, or I don't know if you consider what the Chicago Blackhawks had during that time period a dynasty.
Absolutely, it was. Absolutely, it was
A dynasty, or even if you don't, the unbelievable Chicago Blackhawks team during their prime. I mean, man, oh man, that's a guy. That's a head coach too, where he's right up there in the likes of Barry Trotz, in my opinion.
He's better than Barry Trotz. He's infinitely better than Barry Trotz.
Wow.
Way better. Barry Trotz only knows his system. Quenneville can alter his system depending on what the players are.
Well, I'll tell you this year.
That's not to put Barry Trotz down. I just think Quenneville's a better coach.
Fair enough. You wonder with Quenneville too. I mean, like if he would even want to leave, if he'd even want to leave Florida, if he's got items built there in the right direction.
Why would he leave? They were a young team on the upswing. The biggest problem they're going to have is they got Tampa in their division.
Well, think about it too. They sold pieces last year at the trade deadline as well.
They sold Trocheck last year, but everything was for a reason, right? They sold some of their young, talented guys and brought in some character guys. Not the whole team like we have here, but just to augment the Barkovs and the like. And
they sold Bukestad too that offseason. Was that 2 years ago?
That was 2 years ago.
Okay. I remember that was two. I remember that was to the Penguins, correct?
Yes.
Gotcha.
And I don't think he's with Pittsburgh anymore, Bukestad. I think he moved on. Or maybe he's injured. I don't know what the problem is.
I don't know where Bukestad is right now.
He did not pan out for them, though.
Gotcha. Matthew S. is saying Anid Palmieri. And Vinny S. is saying here, Martin and Bailey on the power play. We are 2 down.
There you go. No talent. That's what happens when you don't have any talent. Guys like that have to be on your power play.
Oh, goodness gracious. Willick C is saying, can't win a cup with a mediocre lineup.
Very true. Preaching to the choir.
David C saying, no, there is the fire hydrant, just slowly drinking here today, trying to prevent myself from having to burst into the bathroom mid-scene to go ahead and I usually have to.
How embarrassing.
Oh, goodness gracious.
What are the pens? You'll be all right.
Oh, goodness. Ross N says, Grump is the barstool genius.
Yeah, that's a slam at the grumpy old man, but that's all right. I'll take it.
Or maybe it's like Barstool Sports.
No. It's like the guy at the end of the bar thinks he knows everything.
Oh.
Except the difference is I do know everything. Thank you, Ross. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Oh, fair enough here. Alexander saying, absolutely horrible tonight. I didn't get a chance to watch the game, but what was 2-0 at the end of the first on 3 shots or something like that? Yeah, it was not a good showing here tonight. Again, it was more of a one-off scenario, though.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. The whole team was bad today. That's what happens when you're not talented. When you're not a talented team and you are totally predicated on system. When things break down a little bit, it's Katie bar the door. And that's what I said. I said that how many weeks ago? I said the same thing. That's what happens when you don't have talent. And if the system breaks down as good as the coach is, you're not winning. It's about talent and players, not coach.
Well, to play devil's advocate, you can have all the talent in the world. If you don't have a good enough coach or the system doesn't work there, I mean, you're going to have those moments. Sometimes you get the bear, sometimes you get the bull. That's the best way to put it. I think it's ubiquitous across all sports.
Okay. All right.
It happens in football. Sometimes you play well. Sometimes you do well one play. Next play, you can get beat there, get pancaked. It just happens.
Next.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Now, Grump. Okay. Gotcha. Frank K saying, if the Islanders aren't careful, the Rags will be better than them in no time and be back in the finals before the Islanders are once they have a real coach.
Well, he's right there. With a better coach and a little bit of help on the defensive back end, they'll be better than us in the long run. In the long run. Not now, in the long run.
What a film saying, a YouTube comment here saying, Grumpy, I would think I know something about the game of hockey, but what the hell is happening with Komarov on the Barzal line? Please explain.
Komarov plays canasta with Lou and Barry, so he gets preferential treatment.
What's canasta?
It's canasta. It's a game.
What's canasta?
It's a game. It's a
what type of game?
Look it up.
I don't know. I had to explain what OnlyFans are, so please entertain my request. What type of game is canasta?
Don't worry about it. Move on.
Oh, good gracious.
I don't have time to explain board games to you now.
Oh, goodness gracious here. Alexander saying may have no chance but to go get Hall. But I don't know. I don't think Hall's the answer there.
I just don't know if he fits. I mean, you got to remember, if you're going to play on this team, you have to subjugate your offensive game and play defense. And that kind of limits who we're going to pick up. I mean, like I said, the coach doesn't alter his system around the players he has. They try to jam players into the system. And to me, that's just not what I would do. You alter your system. A good coach alters the system based on the talent that they have. And that's not something we do right now.
Brad Crawford is an absolute mad lad, an absolute legend. Thank you, Brad, for pulling this up for us. He said, to bring up something on a recent podcast, this is Brad Crawford, a YouTube comment here saying, to bring up something from a recent podcast, this wouldn't be the first time the Islanders have had two rookies in the top 10 of Calder voting here. In 1976, Trottier won, and the Calder and Resch was runner-up.
Do you remember I said that to you, TJ, after the podcast?
I think you did. I think I remember you saying that there. I mean, like, this is, I remember we were in a rush after the podcast. Usually like to exchange pleasantries after the pod. But yeah, I think you did mention it there after the podcast. Brad, absolute legend for getting that information.
And I knew it was Trottier, and I couldn't remember if it was Resch or somebody else. And I didn't think it came in. I didn't think it came in second. I thought he came in third, but it was close. Just from memory, I knew it was the year Trottier was in there. I mean, we had some great rookie classes where guys played in their rookie seasons. We were something special back then.
Brad, I want to pin you a honorable mention there, star, boop, on the YouTube. If I could do that for you, I would. Alexander saying, how about a second-round pick for a guy like Kyle Palmieri, Grump?
I guess if you have 2 second-round picks, I guess I would do that, but I would not trade the first-round pick. Not for a rental. I just want to clarify again, not for a rental. I'm not going to first-round pick for a rental because he's not going to be here, and then we're back in the same boat next year. I don't want to do that.
I guess it really just depends on what you're planning on doing. I mean, like if you think about it like this, if you're willing to give up a prospect, let's say even a younger prospect, I don't think you're going to have to give up a prospect at least not a valuable prospect in a first round pick for a guy like Palmieri or a rental. I don't think that's the case. If you're giving up, first round pick and the rental's kind of like, or the prospect you're giving up, not necessarily high on the board there for the Islanders organization, then I think it might cost a little bit more. But if you're giving up a prospect that has a little bit of weight to him, I don't expect you're going to have to give up a first round pick.
Okay. Do you see again why I said, and this is right now is the perfect scenario of why I'm saying I don't want a rental. I want someone, as I've been saying for weeks and weeks, I want someone who's going to be with the team long term. Why? So if we do have an injury, we're not forced to play the Leo Comrads and the Michael Del Coles. We could slide somebody else up into the lineup. Let's say an Andrews Lee goes out again. Well, you can have a guy who's a second liner, maybe who can slide up into that first line spot, and we still have someone else to fill in. Right now, we don't have that, and that's what I think wouldn't you rather have somebody like Michael Del Cole and Leo Comrade being the guys who who are like your first alternates, not guys who have to play. One of them has to play every game.
In an ideal scenario, I think they win in with
more talent means that the lesser players don't get to play. That's what it means. And you can fill in with one of those 2 garbage players if one guy is hurt, as opposed to having to play both of them when one guy gets injured. And when I say garbage players, I mean Jags. They're just guys.
It's such a hyperbolic way to say it is all, Grump. That's why I laugh at it. David C. saying, TJ and Grump, what do you think about the Islanders trading for Foligno? I wouldn't mind a guy like Arvidsson. I wouldn't mind. Again, when I'm saying a top 6 guy, ideally you want him to be somewhat familiar to Barry Trotz, that system. They got to be willing to play defense. In the same token, I don't think we're going to take a huge stab and get a guy like Forsberg. I don't think we're going to get a guy like Hall. I don't think we're going to make that big of a splash. I think realistically, we're looking at a guy who's more of a second line left wing type of category player.
Okay, I'm just saying. How I'd much rather have Forsberg. Would I be willing to give up a first round pick, a second, and a prospect? Yes, because he could be here long term. Let's say you have a first line once again of Barzell, Eberle, and Forsberg. Your second line is going to be Bailey, Lee, and Nelson. Then your third line is Pajot, Beauvillier, and Wallstrom. You got 3 solid lines there.
Well, next year, right? Next year, there's no way in hell Oliver Wahlstrom's going to be a third-line player next year. I don't care. There's just no way that's possible. I mean, like the way he's played this season, the way I think he's going to continue to improve, there's no way that guy should not be in a top 6 role here next season.
He's got to play on a line where somebody is a passer.
I get it. I do understand it.
So he doesn't fit with Nelson. Does not fit with Nelson.
I think he fits well with Barzal.
Okay, then you're going to drop Everly down.
Who are you going to expose? Who are you going to leave available there in the expansion draft? That's the biggest portion. That's the biggest part of the pizza pie, Grump. That's a whole thing we'll focus on in the offseason because you can get really in depth, but it depends on who you expose there. I think we're really, really strong there on the right wing section of our team. I mean, like whether you want to believe it or not, between Eberle, Wahlstrom, and Josh Bailey, those are 3 really strong right wing candidates you have. For the top 3 lines, they are.
Okay.
I think Eberle's a guy. I think Eberle's a solid one, even better second line right wing. I think Oliver Wahlstrom will be able to grow into a first line right winger. And I think Josh Bailey is a very good third line right winger.
You know what, TJ, I'm just going to say you have attention deficit disorder because, you read the comments from David and his question was, what do you think about trading for Foligno? And you just didn't. I want Arvidsson. I would say I will actually answer. And if the people listening, they know I actually answer the questions as the people put in there. I don't go off on some wild tangent like DJ does, unless it's necessary, of course. But I think Foligno's kind of cashed right now. So, I mean, depending on what you would have to give up for him, it wouldn't be much. I will say that. He does bring leadership, though. He would bring that.
Nick Foligno's seen better times. And again, I wasn't sure if he was talking about Nick or Mark Foligno or Marcus Foligno.
Okay, so, he's not talking about his dad. So
no, he's got a brother named Marcus Foligno, doesn't he?
I don't know. Just go. Next. He's going for the old guy from Columbus. I'm certain of it.
Okay. Alexander was saying, TJ, they have Backstrom, Oshie, and then Carlson there for the Washington Capitals, talking about whether we'd think they would be okay long term if they were missing, Alexander Ovechkin.
All I'll say is they're better prepared for a situation like that than we are. I think that's very fair to say.
Gotcha. Matthew S is saying, I don't see anybody he doesn't think anybody's gonna be giving up first round picks for rentals. I don't know. It happens every year.
This year is really interesting with the draft. And we'll talk about it better further down the line. Without the juniors being played this year, I don't think they're playing juniors this year, are they? Or just a very limited schedule if they did?
Yeah, they play very, very limited schedule. And again,
the draft is going to be more of a crapshoot this year because you haven't seen those players play. So you're going to have to depend on what you saw last year. So you could get a real diamond in the rough down later in the draft than you normally would.
I can't remember which Canadian Hockey League it is, but they allowed no checking at all during this season for the prevention of COVID. So they allowed no checking. So, I mean, like if you take checking out of the game of hockey, that's significantly going to impede those bigger guys that have to rely upon the physical aspect of their game to be successful. In the same token, those smaller guys, that are able to weave in and out, they've become more entitled to more ice there because, if you can't go ahead and check, you can't impose your physical will on them. They're going to have a little bit more additional space to, do what they do.
So you're saying they put in the Josh Bailey rule in one of these leagues? No checking? Just asking.
Oh, goodness gracious. And Brad C. also coming up saying the next closest was in 1996. We had McCabe, that was 11th, and Bertuzzi, that was 13th. Then they both got traded in that notorious Trevor Linden deal. Oh,
yeah, Linden just didn't want to be here. That's unfortunate. He was a good player for a lot of years.
Yeah, so when he would put down Foligno, I wasn't sure if he was talking about Marcus. He played for the Minnesota Wild. So, I mean, he's a left wing too. So I wasn't sure if that's who he was talking about there.
I don't know.
Oh, goodness. What if I'm saying I'd rather have grumpy old man coach this team right now. I don't think Grump's a good coach. I think maybe general manager would be a better role.
First of all, I am a good coach, but Barry's a better coach than I am. I am a better GM than Lou, though.
Oh, goodness gracious. Here we go. We got another comment here from Alexander saying, Grump, we will not have a top 5 or 3 pick in a long time, so I don't have any issue with giving up a first rounder.
No, the draft is the bloodline.
You've got to build through the draft. I'm not denying it. I'm just thinking this. If you're going to have a late first round pick and it's going to be somewhat of a crapshoot this year, you just said it. right? Unless you feel really confident that your team has a real stranglehold in the grasp as to what they can actually evaluate as talent, because this year's been thrown off with COVID, I think now is an optimal time to maybe give up a first-round pick.
Well, a couple of years ago, we had a first-round pick that was later, and we could have picked a Philip Tomasino, Kaliev, a McMichael, and we picked Casper. So, that was a mistake. Maybe that's a year I would have given up a first-round pick, but not this year. You can't figure he'd be wrong on every first-round pick that he picks going forward. So hopefully we pick someone who has some offensive skill. I don't want to give up first-round picks. I just think it's a mistake in the long run.
Willick C is saying, we are an old team. We do have to trade for someone. Now, that's right. I mean, let's speak about it, right? If we're a team with we're composed there of an older team, but we do have a younger nucleus there coming up. Again, to speak to it, Matt Barzal is young. Anthony Beauvillier is young. You've got Oliver Wahlstrom, who's young. The defense is young. Noah Dobson's young. Sorokin there is young. That's going to be your core nucleus going forward. The nucleus of the Brock Nelsons, the Josh Baileys, the Anders Lees, those guys will get phased out, and they should.
Okay, you named 4 guys as the core of our team going forward. There's how many guys who play on a team every day, right? You got 12, 18, 19, 20 guys right on the roster every night. You named 4. Everyone else is old. We're an old team. I just don't think if we're trading for someone this year, is it going to be enough to put us over the top? That's the only way I go for trading a first-round pick. If we have one guy away from winning a championship, we're not. We're a long ways away. And there's a lot of teams that are better than us and better equipped to win the cup than we are. I just don't think we're as close as some people think. That's all.
I don't know. I think what we've seen, if we can get a real top 6 forward, a real top 6 left wing, I think we stand a really fair shot. I think the third line will be a difference maker for us going forward. I really do believe that. I'm unbelievably bullish on what that line with Beauvillier, Oliver Wahlstrom, and Pajot are going to do, and have been doing so far. I really think that's going to be a special line.
Okay, your second line has been invisible this year. Absolutely invisible in 5-on-5 play. I mean, how far do you think we can go? I mean, maybe if we're lucky getting out of the East, maybe. I don't even see that. I see maybe winning a round, depending on who the matchup is. I don't think we're beating Washington. I just think Washington's just better than us this year.
Alexander's saying here, Grump, all the really good players were top 5 picks, and the NHL is relatively a crapshoot, and it's not like where you draft. It's about who you draft.
That's true. Maybe we need some better guys scouting. I don't know. I would maybe look – because seriously, the guys we draft for the defensive side of the puck seem like we have that kind of down. I would try to hire somebody from the outside who you see teams that are, okay, these guys are able to pick, offensive players who are maybe down lower in the teens or wherever, or able to get some late round gems. That's what we need going forwards. We need forwards. We don't need more defensemen, and we need someone who can actually pick some forwards going forward. I know that's the forwards going forward, whatever. But instead of the Kaspers or the Lundkranzes, I'd like to see some guys with skill and talent who can put the puck in the net or create. That's what this team needs. Until we get that, we're not going really far.
Dr. I'm pulling up here I think this is sent to us by John. I think this is the John P. I think this is what this is. It's the average age per team and roster. So give me here a second, Grump, as I'm pulling this up.
Okay,
here
that's fine. I mean, here's the thing. I do like to see this because I do feel we're one of the older teams in the league. Now, since Wallstrom's in the lineup and Bellows periodically, or Del Cole, that should drop our age a little bit. But then you have Leo in there, and that's going to certainly up it. I don't know if Sorokin counts or not. I don't think goalie should count when it comes to age. I think it should be a skaters thing, or maybe they should have a breakdown. But I know we're certainly one of the bottom top 5 oldest teams in the league. And for the long run, that's not conducive to winning Stanley Cups. Just not. Hockey's a young man's game, not an old man's game. And I will say that.
Gotcha here. Okay, here you go, Grump. Here it is. And I do appreciate this here, John. Now, we've got this pulled up, and this was John P. who sent this our way, Grump, because you always talk about the oldest teams there in the league. And we've got this. Again, we are a relatively older team, but here we go. These are the oldest. excuse me. These are the oldest teams that started the year there, January 1st of 2021. The oldest teams there in the NHL. Number one, we'll go to Washington. 29.7 on average years of age.
Well, look who they have. Look who their oldest players. I'm going to bet you that Pittsburgh might be down. Oh, Pittsburgh's actually a little bit higher.
I think Pittsburgh, again, like if you look at Pittsburgh, the majority of their core, the core is old. When you look at the Islanders this year, 27.8. I mean, we're towards the upper echelon, but again, we've been integrating those younger guys like the Oliver Wahlstroms. We've been integrating those younger guys like the Noah Dobsons that help lower that overall age. That's what I'm talking about. As the future goes forward, I think the core and the nucleus that we have is going to be strong that we can build off of. That's my point.
Hey, I hope so. I just think that we don't have as many younger core guys. That's all I'm saying. We don't have a whole lot of super old guys to skew that number either. I mean, Johnny coming off the team last year, Green will be gone. That should drop the age. And the incorporation of Dobson and Wahlstrom, that helped drop our age for certain. And then, like I said, I don't know exactly when that data was taken. I don't remember.
January 1st of 2021.
Okay, so I don't even remember. I don't know what players are looking at. I don't even remember who our starters were opening night. Was Leo a starter opening night? I think he was.
No, he was not.
Oh, thank God.
It was Ross Johnson was playing there on the third line, left wing. So it was Ross Johnson. Oliver Wahlstrom was out there in the third line role. Noah Dobson was out there also. David C. saying, our best trade chip is Frank K's hair.
Might be enough to get Kyle Palmieri. Maybe.
And what a film's there saying, TJ, we haven't played well in 5 games. I mean, this is a team with the style that we play. It's bend, don't break. Absorb pressure, and then go ahead and catch them on the counter-strike team. So, I mean, it's going to look like a lot of times we don't look like we're in games, but they're able to manage to victory. I just think that's the style we play.
Well, that's the way we've been the last couple of years, but still, I don't like how we come out flat. If we come out and we are grinding, the fourth line shows its age. Maybe it shows up once every 4 or 5 games. That's not good for us. The first line playing with only 2 people on it. The second line being really not good. The third line looking okay. That's it. I mean, I don't know. I'm just not happy right now with how we're playing. Sometimes you can win games and not look good, but going forward, we have to be better.
Same, unhappy with the way we're playing. I think if you get a top 6 left wing, I think that significantly helps solidify the line. I mean, the second line has been iffy all season long. The third line's been the best line here going forward. If you're able to add one of those top 6 guys in the left wing spot, you go back to at least 2 very solid lines. And that's the most important portion. Again, like I've argued it, our third line is the equivalent of what is most people's second line out there in the NHL. Well, Vinny Smith, he's presenting a different idea. Who cares solely about the third line? Maybe break him up to get 2 lines going.
Well, the chemistry is important, and that line has chemistry right now. I wouldn't mess with them. I wouldn't. That was something a couple of years ago. We had Barzell, Everly, and Bavillier playing. They had really good chemistry. Trotz broke them up, and they were never the same after that, even when he tried to put them back together. So if you find something that works, you don't tinker with it.
Frank K. also saying his hair requires at least 20 first-round picks and a Conair wet/dry straightening iron. So that is quite a hefty bit there. Sal P. is saying whatever Lou does to address the need for top six winger, he should do it sooner rather than later. This team needs to get a lot of help up front.
Well, you're seeing trades go down now. So, the guys who are going to be moved, it's going to dry up pretty soon. I think it's wiser to get a trade done earlier as opposed to later. But we'll see what Lou's going to do. Probably, who knows? Probably nothing.
We got another comment here from Wood of Film saying, and a heads up, TJ, for you, average Anders is better than average. Gonna miss him. Well, that's not a heads up for me. That looks like a heads up for the grumpy old man. I think he's always better than average. I mean, again, Grump's always been touting around his average. I thought last year his performance was, I thought was a tale or I thought was an indicator of bad things to come in the future. I thought he really had a bounce back year this year, though.
He was doing his job standing in front of the net better than this year. I just think his overall game is just average. That's all.
Gotcha here, Grump. We're hurting without AJ. Michael B saying we're hurting without AJ. Is that talking about AJ Malesko?
Yeah, I miss AJ. She wasn't on tonight, but I think it's because it's a Pittsburgh game.
Well, that's what I was about to say. I know, like, I think they only had, was it just Butch and Brendan tonight? Was Shannon there?
Butch and Shannon were talking.
Oh, Shannon. Sorry.
Shannon, I'm going to give Shannon credit, man. She hooks it out to that schedule, that stadium every game. Kudos to her. I saw her talking with Butch today. Not really informative, but whatever. Brendan says I'm not getting involved with the intermission stuff.
A grumpy old man here. And then Kevin H. there is saying, pleasure himself with the puck. Grumpy, a gold grump. It is gold.
It's the truth. Think about it, right? The two of them really back and forth. Oh, look at me. Ooh, oh, yeah. Pass it back, Josh. Oh, thanks, Nick. Yeah, that's what it's like. Shoot the damn thing. Pretend like you want to score. Just pretend.
Oh, goodness gracious here, grumpy old man. Sorry, I have some technical difficulties. That's why you see this nice little pigeon here. I think it's a pigeon.
Those like rats with wings, aren't they?
No. Michael M. is saying, grumpy, I missed the game tonight, but I'll tune in to your grumpy fans stream later, the grump only fans.
Well, I'm just going to say that, Michael, you didn't miss anything today. Really, you didn't miss anything. I mean, I'm glad. Here's the thing. If we were not doing this podcast today, when it was, I think 4-0, certainly 5-0, I'm like, click. I'm watching something else. I'm doing something else. You know the game's over. All right, we scored a couple of goals. Big deal. So it didn't look as bad on the scoreboard. We were dominating tonight.
Oh, and then he chimes in here. He says, maybe we should get Patrick Kane, TJ, so he can learn a few things from Anderson Lee.
I love that comment. Michael.
Would have films also saying Sorokin sucked tonight. I would have pulled him after 3.
I'm going to disagree on that. I don't think those goals were his fault. Maybe the one that was deflected, maybe he didn't see it. Maybe that's the only one. The other ones he had no shot on. There were defensive breakdowns all over the place tonight.
David C. wants to know, when is the merch dropping, TJ? Soon. I'm working on it. Soon it's going to drop. I promise it's going to be soon. I'll make sure I give an update there on it. I'm hopefully this weekend able to get like at least all the designs I wanted done. So then like we can get it all uploaded there to the shop. I actually think that uploading the shop is the thing that's giving the most issues. So I'm going to have to get in touch with somebody who's a little more tech savvy than I am with that.
Okay, I'm going to give another old movie reference, TJ. Let's see if you can get it. I know the answer is no. Probably some people will be here. I'm ready for my close-up, Mr. DeVille. Do you know what that movie's from, TJ? And I said it because I'm sure you want to put my face on the Grumpy's Groupies shirt. So the whole thing is, I'm ready for my close-up, Mr. DeVille. Do you know who said that?
You're going to have to give me another hint.
That's the only hint I'm giving you. It's a classic line from a classic movie. William Holden and Gloria Swanson were in it.
I don't even know who those actors and actresses are.
Okay, Sunset Boulevard.
I've never seen Sunset Boulevard there, Roman.
Really good. Really good.
Oh, God gracious. And John P. also saying Clark Gillies breaking Tiger Williams' jaw, the good old days.
Yes, sir. John knows. John Patrone knows. He knows. I love the picture. I don't know what that picture.
He's got to be like a professor, like a doctor there, a teacher, or something like that.
I'm interested. I mean, I know it's somebody important.
Yeah, we got here Michael M saying, TJ, I could fit the secondary assist stat line from Joshy's 900 on your forehead. Go, damn.
And here we didn't think anyone was going to really rip on TJ. We had the Bosley comment today, and now we're doing the outdoor drive-in theater screen for a forehead.
Oh, damn.
Man, 2 slammies. Good one. Thank you, Mike.
Oh, goodness. Michael B. also says there, who would be our Ole Krupp to the net of that third overtime game winner?
Who would be our Uwe Krupp?
Uwe Krupp.
Oh, my God.
Sorry, Grump. It's getting late. It's already 11 o'clock by us. You got to give me a little bit of a break now.
Okay. All right. I just hope we can get into third overtime games.
Oh, Jesus Christ. TJ's hair looks like Barry when he coached the Predators. Just a few more years like a lamb.
Wow. Man.
And just like that, it's on. Greg Frost there saying Mayfield's a pylon. For certain he is. My God. And then, and then What If Films actually says it right after there on YouTube also. Mayfield is as good as he's going to get. Dump him.
Yeah, I think they'll be the guy he exposes. But to me, I want to expose guys who make money, make the other teams take some salary off your hands. I mean, 1.45 is not enough to help us, but if you can take somebody who makes 5 or 6, that helps us maybe get somebody better on the team next year. That's how you got to manage the cap and expansion draft. That you have to do it.
Michael M. also says, love you guys. Glad Barzal got on the score sheet. What If Films also said, hell of a night for Barzal. Yeah, again, that goal he created was all himself. And again, that assist that he had was driving the net, and Bavilla was able to clean up there those seconds. But I mean, Barzal seemed that hopefully he's regaining some of that confidence and gusto, because that's having him performing at his level is exactly what you want out of this team.
Well, but here's the thing: you don't want it when he has to do everything himself. You want to have wingers where when he does drive the net, you get the Bavillier follow-up for the goal, or he can dish off to a guy who's wide open when he's drawing that attention. And that's what happens when you have a Leo Komarov on that side. That option just isn't there. And like I said, I'm glad he put it on his shoulders to do it all himself, but that's not what I want to see. I want to see more of a team effort on the first line, optimally, of course. But yes, it's nice to see him score and drive the net.
Alexander also saying, hey, TJ and Grump, I have a bone to pick with this schedule. Why aren't the Islanders coming down to Florida, but Chicago comes to Florida like 5 billion times, and it's further than New York? Yeah, again, the way they did the divisions this year.
I don't know why Chicago was in that division. It didn't make sense. I think they could have done a little bit better, but it was all about demographics. Everything's about demographics. You have so many teams clumped up in the East, like in New York, Boston, Pennsylvania.
Like that metro, the old metro division area. So they tried to keep all the teams there as close as humanly possible. So, like Buffalo, we added Buffalo then, and we also added, the Boston Bruins here this year by losing the Carolina Hurricanes and the Columbus Blue Jackets.
It was like the old Capital Wrestling Group, which was the WWF, owned by Vince McMahon's dad. That's the circuit they used to run from Washington all the way up to Toronto. So it was all in that group.
The WWF.
They could have called us the Andre the Giant division or something like that.
The Andre the Giant division. What If Film said, I like Ross. Replace him with Uncle Leo.
Yeah, why not give Ross a shot? Why not? What does Leo bring to the table that Ross Johnson couldn't? Net front presence, physicality. He could play the penalty kill just as good as Leo does, which is not at all. So what's the difference?
Frank K says Lou should bring back Connor Jones to be on the first line. We were 6-0 with replacing him, replacing Tavares after Tavares got hurt 4 years ago.
Well,
honestly, Connor Jones is such I didn't even remember Connor Jones.
I think he's working at Tim Hortons now. So.
Timmy Hortons, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, goodness gracious. No, definitely not, Alexander. Hey, Grump, can you call Lou and tell him to try you or TJ out in the first line? No, thank you. Yikes, that would be hard to watch. It'd be a comedy show. So you'd see us collide into the boards and get knocked on our ass a few times like that. That'd be the only thing you'd be able to see. It'd be a little comedy rendition. If the team was down like 5 or 6 goals like tonight, at least that would be kind of fun to watch us, collide and fall over the place. But other than that, no way.
It would probably be like the towel boy in Waterboy when, he came in for Michigan and got just poleaxe clotheslined.
After the story of the Water Boys, some teams have been looking for inspiration from other members of their organization. They threw out the tile boys like, "Ooh, he got clothesline there. He'll be out." I can't remember the exact terminology used.
That was great.
Oh, goodness gracious. Oh, yeah. Oh, and Frank K saying they never replaced Molson.
Oh,
I always think that was the start of Tavares wanting.
Well, like I said, John Tavares made players. Those guys should have been paying Tavares money. Just for the contracts they got from him. All of them.
Grump, I've tested TJ and he reads comments that make him sound like a blank
head.
Well, I'm not sure. I think I read pretty much all the comments that I think have anything where you can kind of talk about it, but fair enough. What a films.
No, what he says that you read those on purpose that try to make you sound bad.
Oh, that make me sound bad? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I'm hurting, guys. Make me feel better. Oh, wow. No need to be hurt. I think it's just one game. I'm not too worried about it.
It's all right. I mean, it'll be okay.
And then John P. is saying, go Gonzaga, LOL.
Are they winning, Gonzaga?
Are they playing? I thought it was Houston playing. Is it Houston playing Gonzaga tonight?
No, Houston was playing.
They played tonight. I know they played after the whatever.
Syracuse, I think. Maybe Syracuse?
Yeah, Houston against Syracuse. That was it. Monday is a must-win. Tired of Pittsburgh getting a better.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Sullivan is a good coach, and they listen to him in that room. Crosby's a good player. The fact that they've been able to rally around, they have a number of guys out, like 5 or 6 guys who are out, and they're still playing really well at a high level. And like I said, they've won 12 of the last 14. You can't argue with the results. And their style gives us trouble. I mean, they were super aggressive on the forecheck today. Young, hungry guys, smashing our guys along the boards. I mean, they deserve to win today.
Yeah, nobody's doubting that. Alexander also saying, Grumpy, it sounded like the guy from Billy Madison at the end there when they were they were doing the debate there at the end of the Billy Madison movie.
Thank you so much.
Oh, goodness gracious there. And Brian B saying, the last 2 games I've watched 2 periods. Sorry, Leo on the top line has me shaking my head, losing interest and fast. Oh.
Yeah, well, I mean, what can I say? I mean, Brian, my brother from another mother, I just got to say it's tough watching Leo out there. But the good thing is when they're in the attacking zone, you really don't see him in there at L anyway. So you can still watch that first line and really not see him. It's just Barzell and Eberle, really. There's a positive spin for you.
Frank K is saying, last time my hair was completely short was in late 1990. I should have tried Soul Gold. I think I pronounced that Soul Gold?
Soul Glow.
Soul Glow for my puffy mullet when I had it in the 92-93 time period. I don't know, bro. You had a mullet, so I thought maybe you knew what that is. You know, with my hair the limited hair I have, mullet's never really been an option there for me, Grump.
I used to get the perm, man. You know, like the curly perm on the top, little tight on the sides, not mohawk, but like short and then long in the back,
like the Deion Sanders perm, like that little.
No, I didn't put no Jerry curl in my hair. There's a difference.
Sorry, Grump. You're gonna have to give me a little bit of a break because that type of hairstyle is not popular in today's day.
No. But I did have my hair done like that. It was the 80s, man. So you did that. But I had it long in the back. But now if I put any curls in my hair, that would just come out and there'd be hair all over the colors and nothing else. I honestly don't know what I could do with this. I could use what you use, CJ, Mr. Scuffy, and just spray on the hair. That's an option for me. But I don't care.
Get that going for Wednesday. I'll have to have that. I'll have to get in contact with Rogaine. And you said it was Bosley or Bosley?
Bosley.
I'll have to get in touch with Rogaine and Bosley, see if they're willing to sponsor and give us a few cans so I can use them there on show. 2 minutes pessimistic can say, I blame Trot for playing Leo. I don't blame Leo. That's a good point. I mean, you're not going to blame the player there for this inadequacies. You got to blame the coach who throws him out there.
There you go. I mean, or the GM who signed him to a 4-year deal. Now, here's the thing, TJ. I'm going to give you a little hint. You are having a hard time with Bosley or Bosley. It's Bosley. It's a hard consonant vowel sound when you have the consonant and then another vowel that makes it hard. But since it's not, it's Bosl. It's Bosley, not Bosley.
Oh, goodness gracious. Okay. I'm glad we've got our grammar. I probably have a pronunciation lesson. And he also says, Too Much Specifically says, Grumpy, I was born there in Rockville Center, too. I was a Mercy Hospital baby.
I don't remember the name of the hospital. I was very young at the time, but I do know that it was Rockville Center.
John P. saying, you guys are killing me. Hopefully we're killing it in a good way or fashion. Oh, goodness. Alexander saying, let's go Dolphins. Maybe Lou should take some pointers from the Dolphins general manager, Chris Greer.
Greer.
Grump, catch me. Give me a freaking break right now, right? Chris Greer on how to build a team. I don't know, Alexander. Tua Tagovailoa is not a quarterback that you can build around. So I'm not sure what they're doing is, in the best interest of the success of their team, unless they're going to trade.
To me, they absolutely killed it on Friday. They wound up getting 3 firsts and a second or a third to drop 9 spots. And then they move up 6 spots, and it seems like Philadelphia gave them virtually nothing. And it's like, how did they do that? I don't know how they did that. I guess maybe just because of the quarterback position, what they wanted. But I thought San Francisco wildly overpaid for that draft.
Really? I mean, like, what do you think San Francisco, if they have a legitimate quarterback, is going to be drafting year in and year out? Late first-round picks.
Okay, but they don't have a quarterback right now, so they're picking down.
Here's my question. Do you think the Dolphins have a quarterback? The answer to that question is no. I mean, like, I think they had to trade back. I would have tried to trade Tagovailoa in some capacity. I don't think he's got it. Seen guys out there in the league, that son of a gun doesn't have it. You just tell pretty quick. I mean, like, I just am not bullish on Tua. You know, hopefully he proves me wrong there. I didn't like what I saw in the limited capacity this season.
Isn't that why they played him last year, though? They want to see what they had going into this draft. I mean, obviously they felt good enough about his performance. I didn't think he played well. I don't think his arm strength is good enough. I just don't think he's an NFL quarterback. He reminds me of a good college quarterback who played in a good system for him. But they obviously see something in him. I would have drafted Herbert over him, and I was trumpeting that. Anyone who would listen, I think Herbert's really good.
I did too. I mean, you looked at the throwing bonus, you looked at the throwing mechanics there as well. I thought Herbert was a much better college prospect coming out than Tua. But I mean, everything happened the way it did. Brian B saying, for the record, Grump, not a Buccaneers fan, long-time Seahawks fan. And what a film said, Grump, I think TJ is pulling up on you. I'm not sure what that means, Grump.
I don't know either.
Maybe I don't know. I think What a Film thinks I'm trying to destroy you with only showing certain comments here.
Or maybe he's talking about the hair.
Well, maybe I am.
We're pulling up on him.
Oh, fair. Oh, shit.
I don't know.
Oh, goodness gracious. Alexander saying, this is just for funny here. When Letty and Bailey are on the power play, you hear the Jeopardy music in the background. Oh, God.
They just, like I said, they're pleasuring themselves at 2 of them.
And he also says the Sabres did trade away the worst goalie of all time.
I don't know which goalie he's talking about.
I don't either. Buffalo decides to fire Bottrell. Nice move.
Yeah, well, I mean, he was there a long time before he got moved. I don't know if Adams is the answer, honestly, but you got to start somewhere. Coach and GM. I'm surprised he kept the coach. I thought Ralph was in over his head, and he really showed it this year. He was coaching soccer the last time he coached.
Yeah, he was coaching soccer there. And Frank K is saying Lemieux is friends with D'Angelo, and that's why I made the Trumpster comment. Politics taking over sports and potentially killing the sports in general. Cancer culture agenda in D.C. is to ruin people's lives, bankrupt the country, and to keep us in our homes. More politics. We probably won't dive too deep on that. I just wasn't sure.
I'll comment on some of that. I just don't think. I don't think it's smart for movie stars, especially with how polarizing politics is today. I don't think it's smart for movie stars, musicians, players to be talking about something that's really out of their depth for the most part. Because I mean, if you're trying to make money, like selling record albums or have people go see your movie, if somebody gets so aggravated with you that they don't want to buy your music anymore or watch a movie that you're in, I think it hurts. I think it's dumb. And you look at most of these people, they're not super smart.
Well, and again, the reason we don't talk about it is because it is polarizing. So we try not to bring anything. We're a bright podcast. So moving right along there, Grump. And What a Film said, Grump, I think TJ knows what he's talking about. I'm not sure. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I got to get to the comments quicker. I think that's why we're losing that, because I didn't get to the comments here quick enough here. Jesus Christ. Grump blew a gasket when he saw Martin on the power play. 2 minutes of pessimistic. I did too. I'm just like, they need somebody, I guess, to stand in front of the net. So rolling out there, Matt Martin.
And it was the same thing Thursday night, right? They put Matt Martin on the number 1 power play unit. The guy scored what? He scored 5 goals. I mean, how many goals did he score a year on average? Under 10. And he's on your number 1 power play unit. Okay.
Bukestad was to Minnesota. Okay, that's where Bukestad is. I didn't think he was there with Pittsburgh anymore. I'm glad you caught that there, Joe F. Do appreciate it there.
Maybe he's traded for Tucker, who's actually hurt, I think, for Pittsburgh now. I think that's who he's traded for.
And Alexander saying, Grump and TJ, I'm in Florida, and I get the Panthers games here. The biggest problem was with Dale Talon. No grip players and no balls, nothing.
Yeah, well, that's changed now. Talon's out. I don't know who the new GM is, but at least I believe Talon's out. Yeah, and but Quinville has turned them around for certain, and they needed some of those guys. I like Vinny Trocheck honestly, but I guess that trade with Carolina worked out well for both teams.
So Matthew C is saying, agreed, it happens there. Canasta, and then John P is saying Canasta is an old card game. I don't know what type of card game it is, Grump. I was hoping you're going to be able to tell me a little more about it. Canasta.
Keep going. I'm done.
Keep going, are done. Too much pessimistic saying here, our team needs to read the textbook, rehearse the script, and if things go poorly, and things go, if not, things go poorly very quickly.
Yeah, I mean, if we don't play, and that's what happens when you're not a supremely talented team, and everyone doesn't do what they're supposed to do, you lose those games. It's just that plain and simple. But for me, in the long run, I'd rather have a team that's more talented that can overcome some mistakes that are made in the long run. That's what I'd rather do. I'd rather have a team that, if we have to improvise, is capable of it. That's what I'd like.
Too much pessimistic saying, how can we get a non-rental if we don't have the prospects people want? Explain, Grumpy. I think what Grump is probably trying to say is just trying to trade from the defensive prospects. I think our forward prospects are at best as of right now.
We don't have any forward prospects that are worth anything. I mean, I think we have some defensive prospects that could be worth something, and then I'd be willing to move a first-round pick, but or even one of the seconds as well. I'm willing to do that, but it has to be someone who's going to be with the team long term. I'm not giving up a whole bunch of draft capital for a guy who's going to be here for 3 weeks.
He's also saying 3 weeks. A bunch of us on Twitter agreed to buy a Komarov jersey if we win the cup. I'm in. Grump, we're getting you a Komarov jersey if we win the cup, so you can sport it here on the podcast.
I'll wear it. I'll even get. I want Leo to sign it. Probably in Russia.
You want Leo to sign it? I think that would be fun. I think that would be fun.
I think it'd be hilarious.
Jim, he was saying no Malkin, Zucker, Tanev, Kapanen, Bluger, Friedman, and Jankowski. Seriously, 6-3, Penguins beat the Islanders with junk players.
Yeah, well, that's what happens. They got a bunch of young.
We seem to struggle when teams are out with a normal lineup, and they can't go ahead and field their usual roster. We seem to struggle against that.
But they have a bunch of young fire eaters who are going out there playing balls to the wall. We don't have guys like that. First of all, that's not even our system. That even if we had players who could do that, that's not what Trotz wants them doing. We have to play that strict defensive system where sometimes you put pressure on the other team, have them make mistakes. I don't think there's anything wrong with
that. John P. here is saying, what term left winger is available that Lou should go or would go hard for, and for what cost, Grump?
Well, like I said, I don't think he's going to do that. I mean, so I haven't done a whole lot of research on that, but I know Forsberg was rumored to be on the block.
He was healthy scratch tonight.
Yeah, that's a guy who I would go after. That's a guy, and I'm willing to give up for him because I think he would fit our system. Nashville plays a defensive system for the most part. He's a guy that and he's not afraid to come in back check. He's a guy that I'd spill for because I think he'd work really well with Barzal. He's a good player. The only reason we really don't hear a whole lot of him is because he plays for frickin' Nashville.
Yeah, again, Victor Arvidsson would be a guy. He's got cap, he's got term attached to the deal. He's relatively manageable.
He'd be cheaper than Forsberg as well.
Okay, again, his contract goes till 2023, 2024 season is when it goes through. And again, Arvidsson has always lit us up for whatever reason.
That's what you have to worry about. A guy who just does that against us as opposed to other teams as well. You don't want to overpay for guys like that just because he beats you.
Mm-hmm.
That's a Bill Belichick thing, by the way.
Hell, Bill Belichick's a hell of a coach, though, Grump.
He's not a
hell of a general manager.
He's not a great GM. He's not.
Again, Arvidsson has had some good seasons there before. Okay, he's been injured, and that's I think is the important thing to take into account here. But when he's played full seasons back in 2016, 17, and 17, 18, you're looking at 2 61-point seasons there in a row. One season, 31 goals, another season, 29 goals. And again, you're talking about a guy who's on a relatively manageable contract. Again, the point production, not crazy this season, 35 games, 4 goals, 11 assists, but he's playing there in Nashville. So again, the team's been struggling there. I think a guy like Arvidsson, if he's relatively cheap, if you're looking for a guy with term, I think he fits the mold pretty decently.
Yeah, I'm not afraid to kick the tires on guys like that either.
Neither am I. What a film saying, hey guys, I think I see the Islanders not making the playoffs. Predictions, please. I don't see that being an issue. I think it's way too early to worry about anything like that. We'd be lying if we said we didn't miss Anders Lee, because we certainly do. As much as Grump wants to call him their average Anders, we do miss Anders Lee. I think once we go ahead and take a meaningful step there to replace that, I think we're fine. I really do.
I think we're going to make the players with or without reinforcements. Philadelphia's fallen off the cliff. Boston, not much better. The Rangers, I don't think, have enough to overtake us. I just don't see that. I don't see us not making the playoffs. I don't think we're going to collapse. Let me just put it to you that way. I don't think we're going to win division, but I don't see us collapsing.
David C. there is saying McDonald's again for dinner tonight, Grumper. Did you eat dinner already?
No McDonald's. I ate early today. I had a little frozen pizza, a little Red Baron frozen pizza.
Oh, goodness gracious. There's the dinner of champions there. John P. also saying give up a number one plus what there for Philip Forsberg. I realistically think it's going to be at least 2 number one picks and probably a prospect. If you want a guy like Philip Forsberg, I really honestly believe that. For a team that's, going to be a playoff caliber team, you're looking at picks that are going to be 20 or later most times. I think it's going to take 2 firsts and probably a prospect.
I'm not giving up 2 firsts, but I'd give up a first, maybe a second, and a prospect. That I'd be willing to go for him. We gave up a first and a second and a third, if what's his name, or another first, whatever it was, for Pajot if we won the Stanley Cup. I mean, I'd be willing to do something like that, contingency for Forsberg, for certain.
And then, Jess, I really hope I pronounce his name. I'm going to mispronounce it, Grump.
Yves
Leggett.
Eves.
Another YouTube comment says, what about Bobby Ryan? The Bobby Ryan contract is the most concerning thing there for me.
Can't skate. We only have enough guys who can't skate on this team. Can't skate. Sorry. Bobby Ryan was good, 5-6 years ago?
I'm sorry. Bobby Ryan's he's on a 1-year deal right now.
Yeah, no, sorry.
He's only on a 1-year deal. Okay, I thought he had signed that huge contract there. And again, he's 34 years old. Okay. He had originally. That's right. They bought him out. That's what it was. Because I thought he was originally on that huge contract. They bought him out there, and he's right now with the Detroit Red Wings. So again, he's 34 years. I had no idea Bobby Ryan's 34 years old.
You wouldn't have to give up much to get him, but I don't think he can skate anymore. You got to be able to skate to play. The system that they play here.
You want to know what's crazy? Thinking about that team back that Anaheim had there, where Getzlaf was in his prime, Corey Perry's in his prime, and Bobby Ryan was in his prime. Man, oh man, was that a talented group of forwards?
Yeah, it was a one line. That was really a great line for them. Hey, they won Stanley Cup with it, right?
Yeah. What a film said, TJ, as much as they pump the grumpy old man's horn, you do a hell of a job. Go grumpy old man. I do appreciate that. What a film. Got to make sure that we're trying to scream through here. These Joe H, because I will mispronounce that last name if I don't take my time here. LOL. Our defense is solid. We're 1 game away from the finals last season. You need a mix of veterans. Again, Grump, I know you don't like the veteran president. I know you want everybody to be young out there on the ice. I think we're going to be able to do a good job there, slowly transitioning away from the old core to the new core.
I just don't think we have anyone who can fill those spots is my point. We don't have anyone in the minors ready to come up and fill. That's the issue we have. I wouldn't have a problem if we had a bunch of old guys and we had guys to fill up behind, but we don't. I mean, that's the issue.
Gotcha. John P. there is saying, I agree with Grump in that there is no excuse to take a period plus to get the game speed. Either you're ready for as soon as a puck drops or you're not.
Or even if we come out and have a good first period, we lay an egg in the second period. That's been a trait for the Trotz team, Islander teams, since he's been here. We'll have a really good period. Next period we come out flat. I don't understand that. I don't know why it happens.
Joe H. saying, stop with the negativity. We'll make big move there for a forward. We have the best coach in the league.
We don't have the best coach in the league. We have one of the best coaches in the league, not the best.
I think, again, we've got a Hall of Fame caliber coach, no doubt in my mind. I think we've got a guy who year in, year out, I don't care what era he's coaching in, he could adapt and be a guy who's one of the better coaches no matter what era of coaching he was in. I really do believe that with Barry Trotz. I do. Okay. Again, he has flaws, he has issues, but I think he's done a really good job here.
Yeah, I'm not denying. I just said he's one of the best coaches in the league. I just don't think he's the best coach in the league. That's all.
Gotcha. I froze. Yeah, I did see that there. Would have Films was letting me know that was for you, TJ, when I called it there with Andrews, how we were going to miss him. Yeah, I did freeze there. And Would have Film said, even though you want through your Kane issues, you went through your Kane issues, you saw the value of Anders there. Oh God, my Kane issues, my Patrick Kane issues. Oh goodness. And Joe F there is saying, Mr.
It's Cecil B. DeMille.
Okay, DeMille. I just want to make sure I was pronouncing that name right. Again, Sunset Boulevard is what John P. Sorry, was not up to date. I was like, I've never.
I look at John in that picture, and I'm like, he knows.
And also Norma Desmond.
Norma Desmond. That's who Gloria Swanson played. She was a silent film star who time had passed her by, and William Holden plays a guy who kind of takes up residence in her house, is kind of exploiting her a little bit, and.
Norma's also the one where they do like the scene in the bathroom where he hits him with a knife or something like that. The one where he keeps mother in the basement. What movie is that?
No, God, no. Norman Bates.
Norman Bates, not Norma.
Psycho. Oh my
Psycho.
God.
That's it, Grump.
I hope everyone went to bed because you think they picked on you about your hair. Wait till they pick on you about this. I'm going to bring it up Wednesday if no one else does.
Well, the good thing is, Michael, he clipped, and again, like I got to get better at the tech side of it. He clipped the portion where you were talking about OnlyFans and everything like that. I'm sure I have a lot of those clip-worthy moments too, Grump, that they could exploit on me. I would have filmed saying Grump Sorokin was bad there from the start here today.
Yeah, I just think it was defensive breakdowns, honestly. I don't think it was him as much as the defensive breakdowns. I thought it was really bad defensively.
Yep, and he also says here, absolutely love to listen to you guys. Thanks, Woody. We always appreciate that, and especially after a bad loss. Thanks a ton there. I do appreciate that, Woody. And John P. saying, you guys are good. I'm a professor and a lifelong Islander fan. I told you had to be like a professor, a doctor teaching there at a college or university. He's doing like the graduation walk.
I wasn't disagreeing with you. I just said I wasn't sure. That's all.
Hey. Got you here. Too much pessimistic saying here, Grump, they should do away with geographical names for the divisions and use the, oh my gosh.
Instead, like the Smythe, the Adams, the Patrick division. What was the other one? Norris division. I think those were the four.
Yeah, he goes ahead and gives that the Patrick, Adams, Norris, and Smythe divisions. Yeah, I'm paying homage there to some of the all-time greats. Do agree there. Thanks, Grump, for all the movie recommendations. I'll tell you, Grump is a movie head, as you sure as you can tell. Agree there. Monday is a statement-type game. Yeah,
for bounce back. Even if we don't win, I certainly hope we do. We have to play way better than we did tonight.
Grump. Frank K says, So Glow is a Coming to America reference. I need to watch the second one. They just came out with the second one on
Amazon Prime.
Amazon Prime. That's right. I watched different movies on there, and I know that was one of the ones that was recommended up top. I need to go ahead and give that a watch.
The first one was pretty good. I forgot about that reference, honestly. I have not seen the second one.
Gotcha. And then Would have Film saying, love you guys, but I still don't understand why Komarov is on the first line. Explain the torture.
Only Barry and Lou know for sure.
Yeah. Well, Canasta, right, Grump? That's why. Like Canasta, she said there earlier. Oh, wow. Okay. As Andrew's saying, 2 is going to kill it. Watch TJ and Grump. I bet you $100. Yeah, they had no weapons. Again, I look at it like this. My game, I watched him play. Man, oh, man. He couldn't hit dump outs in the flats to save his life, even little wide outs there. Ahmed there, the running back. He did well last season. They didn't have weapons, but he couldn't utilize Parker worth a damn. And anytime, Ryan Fitzpatrick, he's a journeyman quarterback, but it was quite noticeable that, he understood the mechanics of that offense much better than Tua did. And they tried to go ahead and give him that time period to get set and ready. And it's just different, and maybe he won't be a total dud. He just will never be what Justin Herbert will or can be. To have a guy like Herbert walk into a situation there with the Chargers where they were miserable last season, even with Phillip Rivers there as a quarterback, he comes in and inherits that team. Again, they lose a lot of games close down the edge, but had played an unbelievable season, and Tua just kind of shits an egg. I'm like, I don't know, not big on Tua. I don't think he'll live up to ever be as good as Herbert does. But again, I hope it proves me wrong, but I just don't see it.
I don't think that the drafting that they do is really good. They've had so much ammunition, and they've kind of mismanaged the guys they've drafted, I felt, last year. And I hear there's something going on there. They cut Kyle Van.
No, they didn't cut Kyle Van. They cut Isaiah Wilson. That's
No,
a trade.
the Dolphins cut Kyle Van Noy, and they
Isaiah Wilson.
No, they picked him up from Tennessee.
They traded him 2 days. They cut him 2 days after they traded for him.
Okay, well, that's a whole nother can. But I mean, they picked him up. They dropped Kyle Van Noy. They dropped Teddy Karras, 2 guys that they signed last year. I hear that there's some rumblings of something amiss in the front office staff there. I don't know, but they do have a lot of draft capital. I thought those trades were great for them. What they do with them is a whole nother thing.
He also said Herbert was only good last year because of wide receivers there. Keenan Allen definitely good. Hunter Henry and Williams there. Who wouldn't do good with them, TJ? You would kill it too. Oh, goodness. No, I wouldn't kill it. I'm not sure I could make a throw more than 40 yards downfield. Oh, goodness. And John P. saying, you can never accuse me there of being a fair weather fan. Islanders, Jets, Mets, Knicks my entire life. Ooh, you've endured a hardship, that is for certain.
This is the fan grouping in New York right here. Knicks, but usually the Knicks were the Nets, but particularly when they were the in the ABA, they were the New York Nets. They played in Nassau Coliseum. It was, if you were an Islanders fan, you were a Jets fan, a Mets fan, and a Nets fan. And if you were old time fan, you were Yankees, Giants, Rangers, and Knicks. That's the way it used to be broken out.
Gotcha here. What a film say. No, TJ is fair about the comments. That was me just trying to say that he does a good job reading all the comments. I do appreciate that. The Wicked 50 Cal is saying, what's going on, guys? Most of the dudes played like garbage. 2 or 3 goals that he allowed, in my opinion, were not on him. Mayfield, Leo, Hickey all looked terrible. Yeah, it didn't look good here.
It wasn't a good game. He's right. Spot on.
Yep. Gotcha. Komarov belongs selling snacks in the Coliseum there and said, oh, goodness gracious. He also says, what a film says, I agree about Forsberg. Grumpy knows his hockey. Yeah, was that Grump?
I'd love him on a team.
And also saying, I'd love Forsberg, but we don't have the Asfits National wants. I think they're going to want a killing for that, so I'm not sure. Yep, again, at least 2 first-round picks and a prospect for Forsberg. They got to give us another player. I'm not sure they would. Thanks there for your predictions. Tough night for me as a fan. Love you guys. Do appreciate it there. We got a comment here. Brian B saying he's not the best coach.
Oh, he's not, but I think he's certainly a top 5 coach without a doubt in the league. I don't think there's any doubt about that.
And Too Much Pessimistic also says we have a great coach and he plays Leo Komarov on the first line.
Well,
I guess you only have what you can work with, but I really think Bellows would be a better suit there to play top 6 role than Leo every night.
Yeah, because Bellows, that's his skill set, is the top 6. I don't know if he's ready, but sometimes you just throw him in there and let him play 5 or 10 games and see what you get. There is no upside to Leo Komarov. None. I mean, that's why you give the young guy a chance. You hope he grows into it, like Wahlstrom grew into his role from the beginning of the year. He wasn't playing no great shakes to start the season.
No, it certainly wasn't. He had no point production. You could tell he wasn't comfortable there. And again, like a suit, I told you, I need to go back and cut that clip. As soon as he scored that goal against the Boston Bruins, I knew that was going to be the light switch moment that was going to propel him into a successful season. I knew it was going to happen, Grump, and sure enough, it happened. They call you Grumpsterdamus, Grump. I want to go ahead and get a nickname for myself too. That's like when I do get a prediction right every once in a while.
Goofball is your nickname.
They don't call me Goofball for nothing.
You were right. You did say that. But my whole thing is they let him play himself into getting comfortable and being part of the game, where they haven't done that with Bellows. I'd like to see them give Bellows that chance, especially with Lee out. What do you have to lose? There's only upside with Bellows. There's no upside with Del Cole or with Komarov. Give him a shot. Let it ride it out for 10 games. Go through the ups and downs, and hopefully he gets it. This way you know what you have going into expansion draft. Play him a game here, a game there, pull him out. What do you know what you really have? Give the kid a shot. That's all I'm saying.
Well, I do appreciate it, Grump. We're right at about 2 hours and 25 minutes, Grump. Is there anything else you want to say before we wrap things up on tonight's podcast and live stream?
Once again, my pleasure. I love talking to the people. I even like talking to you, TJ, as hard as to believe.
That is hard to believe.
It is hard to believe, but I always love doing these things. So.
Well, I do appreciate it, Grump, and thank you everybody who did tune in there to the live stream and the podcast. We do always appreciate it. Again, we're working there on the merch store. We're going to be another live stream there on Wednesday as well. But thank you again so much, guys, for tuning in, and we look forward to talking there with all the listeners there on the podcast and live stream next Wednesday. Thank you again, Grumpy.